On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're exploring 4 stunning coastal-inspired homes. First, we visit a beautiful California home where the designer and builder blends indoor-outdoor living with serene colors, rich textures, and vintage pieces. Next, we head to the Outer Banks, where a couple's dream beach house known as the Dune House features breathtaking ocean views and a thoughtful mix of natural materials that reflect its coastal surroundings. Then, we take you to Fire Island, New York, to visit a colorful seaside home where vibrant artwork, a stunning front garden, and a sea deck make it the perfect summer retreat. Finally, we explore a transformed beach home in California, where a couple creates their ideal space to enjoy the relaxed beach lifestyle and entertain guests. Enjoy. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Scan the QR code to subscribe to our new channel, Weddingworthy, where we celebrate amazing couples and the love stories behind their perfect day.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Jasmine Roth, and this is our house in Huntington Beach, California. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Roth, a host on HGTV, and we are here at my house in Huntington Beach, California. So we call this house the Roth Homestead, and it is a new construction home that took me 3 years to build. It was a labor of love, and I say that because I was also filming my TV show at the same time. So 3 years for new construction isn't unheard of, but it was a lot of work. This was just dirt, and we built this nice big house here. It's a family home. It's a California casual style, and yeah, it's one of my favorites I've ever done. So new construction is a little different in the sense that you can do anything, right? So imagine just like a patch of dirt. What are you gonna do with it? And so I think the hardest part of building this house was figuring out exactly what it was that we wanted and how to stay within our budget and how to work with the city to make sure that everything was within code. So we added a pool, we have a garage off the back. Everything changed as we were going through the process. And you change one thing, it changes all the other little things. So yeah, new construction, definitely a challenge, but well worth it in the end. I think the other thing that was really important was to make sure that, like, as we were building the house, it didn't feel sterile, right? A lot of times something that's new can feel like somewhere you don't want to be. And I didn't want that at all. I wanted it to feel homey and welcoming and like a place where you just want to hang out with your friends and family. We entertain a lot. We have a 4-year-old now, but at the time we were just getting into having kids, and so we knew that this house was going to have to grow with us. So yeah, there was a lot that went into making sure that it didn't feel like somewhere that you just walk into and you're like, oh, this is a new house, nice. So adding a lot of personality, a lot of unique features. We went with a lot of vintage, which was really fun. And around every turn, just doing something that really felt like us. So now we're inside. This is the entry of the Roth Homestead. And right off the entry, we have this room that we're using as an office. It's also, I mean, it could double as a first floor bedroom. So when we built the house, that was really important. I actually built this room for my grandmother at the time so she could come and live here because there's no curbs. So it goes right into the bathroom. The bathroom goes right into the shower. And so you don't have to worry about steps, which I think was really important. we have this room set up as an office, and to do that, I actually bought this table, which is an outdoor table from Serene and Lily that we put in the middle of the room. I always say if you can sit and look out, it's way better for your psyche as you're sitting and working versus like facing a wall. So just food for thought. If you're setting up an office, try to put yourself in the middle of the room facing out. So this is from Leanne Ford's collection for Crate and Barrel. I love this woven art piece. I use it all the time in my projects. So why not here? The rest of this furniture, my idea was to use a lot of different like wood tones and leather tones in here. So as you can see, we have like this walnut console that kind of has that mid-century modern vibe. And then I paired it with these industrial shelves, which I love because they're completely adjustable. So each of these brackets, this is how they used to build shelves, and I think it's really cool. These are from Anthropologie, but each of these brackets, you can actually adjust the shelves. So depending on what you want to display, sometimes we have books. In the holidays, my husband has a nutcracker collection that goes on these shelves, which is really cute. So there's a lot of different opportunities to display different things and kind of have this room grow and change. I mean, if you're working from home, you probably know how important it is to have your office feel a little bit different every now and then because you're in that one room a lot. So it's fun to kind of mix it up, make it feel different. And I think this furniture allows for that. One of my favorite things in this office is that I get to put my book on the bookshelf. How cool is that? So The House Story is the book that I wrote in 2021. It's the insider secrets to the perfect home renovation. This is my little dog at the time in his little dog cave, but inside of the book are all of my tips and tricks and photos of not just this house, but a lot of different projects that I've done. So yeah, if you're going into a renovation, this is the book you need. So the flooring on the entire first floor is this large format porcelain tile. It has like a concrete look, but the idea was that it feels a little bit more finished than concrete. Also, because we laid the tile, we were able to heat the floors. So having that like ambient heat, it doesn't get that cold here in Southern California, but it's nice to have sometimes when you're walking around barefoot. They're very hard, but at least they're warm. I think California casual can mean a lot of different things, but for me, it usually means really functional design, right? So here in Southern California in particular, we do a lot of indoor-outdoor living. We're so lucky we can just like leave our doors open, leave our windows open, let the fresh air in, and use our outdoor spaces almost like we would our indoor spaces. So for me, California casual design is a mixture between just like a very like laid back feel, right? No shoes, no shirt, no problem. But really, like, you have sand on your feet, you're coming back from the beach, you're gonna shower off, you're gonna hop in the pool, you're gonna come inside, and you don't wanna be worried about your house and about messing up your house. There's kids running around, there's dogs, there's, you know, just everything's happening. And I think that's a big part of building in the California casual style. For me, from a design standpoint, there's a lot of natural wood, there's a lot of light, bright colors, there's not a lot of clutter, and I think that's really helpful. So there's a lot of organization and just having that like really casual vibe. So you can just come in, you can sit on the couch, you can put your feet up, and it's really welcoming. Okay, so that's the office. Right across the way is the dining room. By the way, this is our dining room on the cover of HGTV magazine. That's why that's sitting there. It looks a little different. So this is probably our third rendition of this dining room. Right now I'm kind of in my neutral phase. So we've got this nice big custom table. A friend of mine made this, and he's also a carpenter. He's on my show a lot. His name's George Bernal, but he made this table custom for this room because it's a massive room. Like, it's a really big room. So figuring out the scale was really hard. Having a separate dining room is something that a lot of people don't do these days, especially in new construction. And we wanted to have a room where we could gather with our friends and family that just felt a little bit more, I don't know, buttoned up than an eat-in kitchen. So when you first walk in the door, you see this giant flag. And this was a piece that I bought at a vintage swap meet, and it's made out of this really thin material and dyed and stamped. And so an artist did it, and then we had it custom framed. This house has really high ceilings and big rooms, and so having like big pieces of art like this is really important. The other thing I love in here are the ceilings. So these were also done by my carpenter friend George, and they are white oak. They're stained a little bit, but they're meant to look pretty natural. And new construction, everything is just drywall. So it looks just like this. And we put this wood treatment actually over the drywall to make it feel like it had some architectural charm, right? So yeah, this light that hangs down is also pretty big. It's made to look, it's kind of like a play on like a candelabra, but also to look like driftwood. So it kind of gets the whole notion of the fact that you're at the beach started. This rug I love. It's very neutral. It's cozy. A lot of people forget to put a rug in their dining room, or they're scared to put a rug in their dining room because they have kids, which I get. But at the same time, this is a really inexpensive rug that I think does double duty, because it not only makes the room feel finished, but it also makes it feel like somewhere you just kind of want to like hang out for a while. Without this rug, this room feels cold and uninviting. So yeah, I would definitely opt for a rug in your dining room. This corner I actually love too. This is kind of our catch-all. As you walk in the door, we keep like our keys and that kind of stuff in here. Behind this cabinet is a TV. My husband loves TVs, and I try to hide all of them. So this one is hidden behind a cabinet, so all you do is you just lift off the panel and there's a TV behind there. So each cabinet's a little bit different, and you would never know that that holds a TV. In case you can't have dinner without watching TV. I don't know. He loves TV. We host all the time. We have friends, we have family that come over. I mean, we have no problem having 25, 30 people over on a Sunday, big dinners, lots of people. And so this dining room can really serve that purpose. When we were building the house, we laughed because it kind of feels like a church. Like it has the ceiling going, and before we put the furniture in here, we're like, we could host a wedding in here. Like, this is a really big room. But we've used it. We've had Thanksgiving. We've had birthday parties, so many different events in here. And also, I mean, this is a great table to just come in if you're like working on a big craft or a big project. You can kind of spread out. And so I love that as well. I always say that my career path into where I currently am today was a happy accident. So I encourage people to really go into any sort of home renovation or home construction with an open mind, because for me, it turned into my career and it was an accident. So I started building a home with my husband. We actually were building 2 houses as an investment project on the side. I was in corporate America, and I had no idea how much I was going to actually love the building process, the design process, working with all the different trades. And it became an opportunity for me to actually follow a passion that I didn't even know I had. So yeah, I think happy accident is the best way I would describe my career, with a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment behind it. But yeah, so being in the home design world, I think there's a lot of different ways to get into it, or even into the construction world, right? Some people go to school, that's great. Some people are formally trained, like an architect or an engineer, that's also great. Some people kind of follow into it, like I did, and you have to go in really curious, really humble, and just knowing that nobody knows everything, and just ready to learn. And so, yeah, I still feel that way. I still feel like I don't know everything, and that's okay. And that's actually what's exciting, because I show up every single day and I get to do what I love. I get to be curious, and it's okay that I don't know everything, because we're all just learning together. Okay, that's the dining room. Let me show you the kitchen, but on the way there, I have one room to show you. All right, this is our powder bath, which normally, it's just a small bathroom, but I tried to squeeze as much design into this room as possible. So this is definitely that California casual design, in the sense that we've got our vintage skateboards on the wall, which is really fun. But I paired all of these vintage skateboards, which they just lift right off. So, if you want to take a ride around the house, you totally can. And the kids sometimes do. But I paired it with this more like buttoned up, rather formal, rather traditional wallpaper. So you have the ticking on the wallpaper, the stripes. And then over here for the sink, and this is a custom console that we built to house this stone vessel that was actually a baptism sink that we drilled a hole into. So this is vintage. And then the light up here, if you can see that, this is from Schoolhouse Electric, and it's kind of got that mid-century vibe, just to kind of like tie it all together. and it's a mustard yellow color, which I think is really fun. So there's a lot going on in a small bathroom here. Now to the kitchen. All right, so this is our little eat-in kitchen area. And here I paired a banquette, so that's nice and comfy, with some vintage chairs, and we did an oak treatment on the walls just to kind of make it feel almost like a little bistro. So we sit here a lot. We actually eat here quite a bit, hang out as a family. It's nice to have this option, even though we do have the dining room. I mean, this kitchen is all about entertaining, right? And the idea behind this was to have lots of space, so like giant fridge, giant freezer, 2 sinks, like all the things you'd want if you're hosting a lot of people, but then also to make it feel really inviting and really homey. So I gotta show you this, come over here. Okay, so this is a built-in paper towel dispenser. So instead of having the paper towels on the countertop, we actually have them right here. And the cool thing about this is, so you can just pull out if you need a paper towel, there you go. But the cool thing about this is you can store your extra paper towel rolls right behind it, and you would never even know it's there. It's all tucked away. You guys need a paper towel? Yeah. One of my favorite parts of this entire kitchen is this sink. So it's massive. It's vintage. It's real vintage. And I got it from an architectural salvage yard that was near my grandmother's house in New Jersey. I bought it before I even owned the land for this property, but I knew that someday I would use this sink. So when my contractor went to install this sink, I was working that day and I came back after work to see it installed, and it wasn't installed. And I called him and I said, hey, I thought we were installing the sink today. And he said, yeah, I don't have the sink. I said, no, it's the vintage sink that's on the ground. You put it, that's what we're gonna use. And he was like, what? Why? Why would you put that old sink in a new house? And I had to like fight with him to install this sink, but it's one of my favorite parts of the house. I think it's really cool. It's scratched, it's worn. You can tell that it's been around the block, and that's why it's awesome. So we use this sink all the time. It's a great sink. Love, love, love. The other thing about this kitchen that's really special is we did a lot of different countertop materials. So on the perimeter, we have marble, which we did a UV coating on, which is kind of like when you go to get your nails done and you put them under the manicure light for the gel nails. So the same idea. And it makes it so that the marble is more resilient, it's durable, it's more like a quartz almost, but it's still that natural material. So you get all of that like natural veining, which is really cool. And then on the island here, we actually have 2 different countertop materials that we had to perfectly blend together, which was a little bit tough. So this is actually a granite. It's called a leather finished granite. It's black granite, that's what it's called. And so it has a little bit of texture to it, which is really fun. And then that pairs with this oak countertop that runs all the way down for the seating area here. So this is just the same white oak that we have throughout the entire house, but then it's stained black. So having these 2 different materials is just a little bit different. Why not, right? We also have these industrial style pendants. They're not vintage, but they're made to look vintage, which I think is really fun. Speaking of which, this window, let's see if I can do this with my pregnant belly. Might be in the way. This window opens to the outside. And so this is a new vintage window, meaning that it's made to look vintage, but it's actually brand new. It's custom made for this opening. It pockets all the way into the wall, and it gives you this kind of indoor-outdoor living. So you can be in here, or if this is open, like this, disappears all the way back. And now I'm sitting on a bar stool and I'm at a bar. How fun is that? So we have this pass-through. So we use this all the time when our friends are here. And it's just kind of a fun place to hang out. This is our outdoor living room. The cool thing about this is that in this cabinet, we have 3 TVs. So the fun thing about this is that during football season, we take this couch, we flip it around, everything faces this direction. So you've got 3 different games on, snacks on the bar here. We've got multiple trash cans that are built in and recycling. I know you didn't come here to see trash cans, but I love trash cans and I love organization, so I'm gonna show them to you. But yeah, so out here, this is just kind of a really great place to hang out, watch the game. You're outside, you're with your friends, you're connected to everybody inside. When we were setting up this area, I kind of wanted it to feel just like you would inside, like an outdoor living area. So you've got your living room, you've got your dining room, you've got your kitchen, right? So you kind of have different seating areas, and everybody's together. This, I would say, is open concept. Everybody's together, but you've got this great big table you can sit at, you can hang out, you can turn your chair around, you can watch the game, you can turn your chair this way, you can see people in the pool. So everything kind of ties together, but it does feel like you've got these different moments. So this pool is really interesting because when you go into the water, there's a separate speaker and there's music in the water. So when you're swimming around underwater, you can hear something different than what you might be hearing in the courtyard here. And that was something I was at a hotel and I went underwater and I heard a song and I came back up and I couldn't hear it. It took me a little while to figure it out, but it was so cool. I was like, I have to do that in my own house. So yeah, if you were to go underwater right now, you would hear a song. Okay, so next to the pool, this is our cedar barrel hot tub. And this we built in as an above ground hot tub, but it's actually set down into a well and it's made out of cedar. So we got this from Canada, it's imported, it's the real deal. There's no chemicals in it, it's all natural, and the idea is that you can go in here, rejuvenate, recharge. It's supposed to be very good for like your skin. We spend a lot of time in here. This is the party zone over here, but also where we relax at the end of the day. So there's jets that turn on and it fires up just like that. So you go in there, you relax, you hang out, come in from the beach, you can shower your sand off, get right into the hot tub. The beach is right up the street, so this is kind of the dream right here. Outside we use a lot of different materials. We have the wood that we tied from the inside of the house. This is a corrugated metal, so it kind of feels like a barn almost. And then on the main house we have board and batten, which is painted this brown color. It's actually Sherwin-Williams Homestead Brown, which is interesting because we call this the Roth Homestead. And we started calling it that before I ever picked the paint color, so I don't know how that works. One more thing I have to show you, this is my favorite part of our entire outdoor area, and that is our vintage water fountain. So this was a salvage piece from Santa Monica City College. They were doing a renovation, and I saved this pink water fountain. And my husband's like, what are you gonna do with that? And I was like, I'm gonna put it in a house someday. So today is that day. I rebuilt the entire inside. It has filtered water in it, and you can kind of just, I don't know, I grew up using a water fountain at school. And so this is kind of like a nod to my childhood. You can turn it right on like that. If you're thirsty, you get out of the pool. Delicious. You know what I'm saying? Who is that? I think it's just one of those really fun things. It wasn't that much of a big deal to install. And it kind of gives purpose to this part of the yard. Plus the kids use it all the time. They think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Okay, so through these big doors here, this big custom arbor, and this is what we call our bonus room. I don't really know what else to call it other than this is where the fun happens. So this room has been through a lot of iterations as well. My favorite part of this room is this vintage bar. We built the house around it. Obviously there's lighting that we hung above it. We've got the bar kind of behind it that has all of the functional pieces because this is actually an antique piece and it's not connected to the floor or anything like that. It's just a piece of furniture essentially. But it kind of gives this whole side of the room purpose. So we use this bar a lot. In the back here we have a little sink. There's a hidden ice maker, a hidden beverage fridge. And speaking of hidden, this bookcase is actually a hidden room. And so this is our little speakeasy. Come on in. So we hang out in here all the time. I went to the lumber yard and I bought these are called cedar grape steaks. So they're not aromatic cedar, but they have a little bit of a hint of that smell. So when you come in here, it kind of feels like a cigar lounge or like a really nice cedar closet. It definitely feels secret. And then I paired that with a grass cloth plaid wallpaper. So anyway, this is our secret room. It does have a window. I guess you could make it into like an office or a wine room, but we have it as just like a little place to hang out. These little guys we brought back from Japan. My husband and I are big snowboarders, so we love going to Japan in the winter to snowboard, and we brought these back from our very first trip. This is my husband, and this is me. Other fun thing here is this is a bar. These bar stools I found on Wayfair, and I thought they were so fun. They look like corks, right, that you would put in a champagne bottle or in a wine bottle, and I've never seen anything like them before or since. I think they might still be for sale, but they're like one of my favorite things in this whole house. When I was building this house, the very first thing I did, before the house was even finished, as soon as this wall was done, I hung these custom photo ledges. And so these are photo ledges. I've done these in pretty much every house I've ever had. Usually I buy them from IKEA. I had my carpenter make them for this wall, but the ones from IKEA are also wonderful. The idea is you can just buy a bunch of frames, put a bunch of photos up. They don't have to be fancy. They can just be like selfies off of your phone. Actually, this photo over here, this was the dirt of our house. This is the land where our house is built on. So like we're standing right there. And that hole, that's the pool. So this is what this looked like before I built it. That's our neighbor's house. That's the neighbors behind us. Pretty cool, right? The reason I wanted to put this photo wall up before anything else is because these photos, I mean, these are photos that make me happy. They make my husband happy. They're friends, they're family, they're good times, they're pets, they're snowboarding, they're all the things that we love. And so I think it's really important in our homes to not just focus on the furniture and the finishes, but to do projects like this, where we're adding things that make us happy, that make our homes feel personal, that make them feel like they're undoubtedly ours. And being able to do that, that's what makes your home feel like it's really home. Build your happy is something that I say every single day. If you follow me on social media, you see me talking about it. It's become this mantra for what it is that I kind of have dedicated my life to, right? And so this is a movement, we're all in this together. And Build Your Happy is all about trying to figure out how to be happy, which I think is what each and every one of us is actually doing. Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is a journey. And in my opinion, it's incremental, meaning that to be happy, we're actually adding up. It's the sum of a lot of little happy moments. And as we add those up together, we can find this like general feeling of happiness. And I think it means something different for everybody. For me, it's a lot of celebrating the small moments, not like glossing over an accomplishment or a moment where you could actually stop and be like, oh, wait, this is really cool, right? So it could be something as small as like, oh, I washed my car today, go me. Or it could be something, a little bit bigger, but just stopping, taking a breath, celebrating those moments and letting yourself be happy. It does add up. And, even if you're going through a rough time, Build Your Happy kind of applies in the sense that it might not feel like it, but there's always something to be happy about. And it's okay to focus on that. So yeah, I think, it means something different to everybody. Everybody's at a different stage, but it's all about just working together and knowing that we're all just doing our best. So my top design tips for helping to build your happy within your home are, well, I have 3 of them. So the first one is, don't underestimate how awesome your house is, okay? And I mean that in the nicest way possible because I love my house and I know I had the opportunity to build it, but not all of us feel that way about our homes. And I haven't always felt that way about my home. And so actually like accepting your house and realizing that there is opportunity in every single space, every house, whether it's an apartment, a dorm room, a giant massive mansion, it doesn't matter. There's an opportunity to build your happy and you can lean into something. There has to be something that you like within your house. So it's just a matter of finding the thing that you actually like about your space and then leaning into that. And I know that's easier said than done, but I'm here to tell you it's possible. And the second thing to help build your happy that I would recommend from a design standpoint is making your home as personal as you can. And being okay with that, right? A lot of people think that your house has to look like a showroom or a model home all the time, and it doesn't. It needs to look like somewhere that you live so that when you walk through the front door every single day, there's something that makes you smile, and that will add to your overall happiness. And the way you can do that is, there's a lot of different ways, but anything that's personal. So if you love movies and you collect the little movie stubs from the movie theater, frame them and do something where instead of putting something that you love into a drawer, get it out of the drawer, put it up on a shelf. Photos are a great way. I mean, everybody, you don't have to do a fancy photo shoot. You can definitely just use selfies off of your phone or, a picture of your dog's nose. That's always my example. But, something that just makes you smile, right? So you can frame that, put it on a shelf. Every time you see it, you're guaranteed to smile. That's gonna help with your happiness. So personalize, personalize, personalize. And then the third thing that I really think helps with a home is adding things that aren't necessarily brand new. And it doesn't have to be like old and like falling apart or like a fancy antique, but having things that have a little bit of a story and feel a little bit worn and feel a little bit tattered can really help make your home feel a bit more welcoming and livable. So you walk in, it doesn't feel quite so precious, right? You can just sit down, you can put your feet up, because there's these objects around you that feel like they have a story. And maybe there's a little bit more to them than just, oh, I went and bought this off the shelf at a big box store. So yeah, those are my 3 tips, and good luck. Okay, so in case you guys are turned around, this bonus room is connected kind of like a big circle to the rest of the house. So the living room's right here. If you wanted to have these rooms separate, like if everybody was partying in there but you wanted to hang out in here and be quiet, this door closes right up. So this is a custom door that pockets away, it's secret, it has this wire glass in it, which I think is really fun. It kind of ties into the industrial lights that we have in the kitchen and the industrial shelves that we have in the office. This little area under the stairs, I wanted to make sure that we didn't forget about it. So we have a little reading area, a little cave for the dogs, and it's a little pet cave. Oh, one more thing. So this stair, the first stair we actually did in marble, which is a play to the countertops in the kitchen, and it kind of ties in the marble we have in the rest of the house. And it kind of notes a transition in the flooring. So from here up, everything is wood. From the marble down, everything is that gray porcelain tile. Let's go upstairs. So this is our hallway upstairs, and I love this space because it should just be a hallway, but I actually feel like it's so much more than that. So once we built this little wall, which is what the architect called for, I realized that it didn't feel high enough to me, especially with kids, and especially after we added this little day bed. So I added these panels. They actually can slide in and out. So sometimes I have different panels that go in here. Once we had a whole Connect 4 game in here. These ones are actually a caning, which goes in the middle of this custom frame. This area could just be a pass-through, but instead it feels almost like its own little room. So you have a day bed that we can have guests sleep on. Under here we have tons of storage. So normally our snowboard clothes are in here. That's where we store all of our extra gear. And then this wall it looks like a built-in. The crazy thing about this whole built-in is that it's fake. It's not real. So none of these actually open, and it's actually just a flat wall. So imagine a flat wall that's like super boring. You could just put a TV on it, but instead of just putting a TV, I did this whole built-in, because now it feels like it's inset into the wall, and randomly, even though it's sticking out a little bit further, it makes this whole area feel wider. Okay, so this is our primary bedroom suite, and this room is all about calm, chill, relax. So we kind of have that vibe going throughout. The furniture is from my website, and I wanted to go with furniture that felt really cozy and comfy, but also kind of brought in the wood tones that we have throughout the house. And then this light I hung on one side. So we did a pendant light on one side. This is from Anthropologie. And then on the other side, we went with a lamp. And this is something that I do pretty regularly because I think it's just fun to have that mismatched feel. It doesn't feel quite so formal, and it feels a little bit more, I don't know, casual, laid back. The fireplace over here, this is a custom white oak mantle. So this fireplace surround is mercury glass. So it's a mercury glass tile. And then the rest of the surround here, where it doesn't need to be non-flammable, this is actually a grass cloth wallpaper in a plaid print. So it kind of ties in on both sides of the room. You have the same wallpaper. And the ceiling in here, I wanted again to make it something other than drywall. So we did a painted ceiling. And this is one of my favorite colors. It's Sherwin-Williams Colonnade Gray. It's a beautiful, just like neutral gray color that goes with everything. It adds a lot of depth to the room, in my opinion, even though it's on the ceiling. Come on into the bathroom. We spent spend a lot of time in our bathroom, so we wanted it to be a place where everybody could hang out. And by everybody, I mean myself, my husband, my daughter. We have nice big vanities, which is really fun. We brought that black stain back up onto these cabinets. Tons of storage right in the middle. This is a Samsung frame TV, so it's an art TV. So it looks like art, but it's actually television. Again, my husband loves to watch TV. The countertops in here are marble, and we went with a variation that has a lot of gold in it. So we really leaned into the countertops from downstairs, but just making them even that much more like bold and dramatic. And so they have a UV coating on them. You don't have to worry about the marble soaking up any of your bathroom products, which I think is nice. And then the floors are also marble. So we use the same marble material throughout, but just in different cuts. So there's a hexagon material on the floor that matches the wall tile behind the tub here that runs all the way into the shower. This tub is one of my favorite parts of the whole house. It's actually vintage. I salvaged it from an old surf shack up the street and then had it completely refinished. So it's got its gold feet down there. And we use this tub all the time. It's my daughter's favorite place to take a bath. So it's fun to have something that's a little bit, old in an otherwise new space. This chandelier, I feel like compared to the tub, it feels very Art Deco. So it brings in kind of another vibe in this space. It's got some of that glam going. It has the glass on it. So yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces to kind of pair with the very traditional vintage tub. All right, I have one final thing to show you. It's in here. So this is our toilet room. Here's the toilet, but behind the door. I don't know what to say other than there are a lot of TVs in this house. Actually, there's 17 TVs in this house. My husband loves TV. I have a TV show, so I'm not opposed to it. The more TVs, the better. I think home to me is more of a concept than it is an actual physical structure. And I say that because I do move quite a bit, and my family moves, and I grew up moving around a lot. And so to me, I think home is more where the people that you love are and the people that make you happy. And so if I'm with my family, if I'm with my friends, that's where I'm happy, and that's my home. Okay, you guys, so there is one last little bit of news, and that is that our family has decided to move to Utah. So this house is actually on the market and could be one of yours really soon. Thanks for coming by.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Lauren Lees.
And I'm David Lees.
And welcome to the Dune House in the Outer Banks, North Carolina.
Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy episodes, be sure to check out the product links below for amazing furniture, accessories, and more.
Hi, I'm David Lees.
And I'm Lauren Lees, and we are in the Outer Banks, North Carolina in the Dune House, and we are so excited to show you around. I'm an interior designer, and Dave runs the design business, and we also flip houses. So we decided we wanted to redo some houses down in the Outer Banks and flip them or rent them out. So Dune House was our very first Outer Banks renovation project that was not intended for our family. We have 5 kids, 3 boys and 2 little girls.
Do you remember their ages?
I do remember their ages, but it's just easier to say they range from 7 to 17.
I've been coming to the Outer Banks since I was 12 years old. I first got invited down, and I did not know this was also Lauren's beach town.
So I've been coming down here since I was probably 7 or 8. Both of us would go to Corolla, and we always spent 1 week. I think you guys were lucky enough to have 2 weeks in the Outer Banks ever since we were little kids. And so this was always our beach town, our beach area. And so I don't know how many years, for however many years we've been married, which at this point I can't quite remember, but we always said that we would buy a beach house in the Outer Banks. That was sort of our big dream. And for many years, we just sort of perused real estate listings and would pretend that we were going to buy a house until, one weekend, we finally drove down and got a little beach house. And it was a tiny beach shack, and we renovated it.
We found it online.
Found it online.
And we made an offer sight unseen.
Yes, sight unseen, and it looked like a really good deal when we saw it, which is what you have to be after when you're flipping. And we knew it was right on the ocean.
But you have to move fast.
You gotta move fast.
So it was a little scary.
Very scary. So we made an offer, and it was accepted, I think, within an hour.
Yep.
And suddenly we were looking at the fact that we owned a beach house we'd never been to before. And so we brought our 5 kids down, I think like the next weekend, to see what exactly we'd purchased. And when we got here, I think the deck was the biggest thing. The deck had fallen off the back of the house. I think someone had put like a baby pool on it, and there had been water damage. So it was in an extreme condition, because that's how you'd say it. And so it needed a lot of work, had a lot of water damage, but the bones were beautiful. And when we walked in the front door, it was just amazing. We could see that there were stairs when you first walked in the front door, sort of blocking the view, but we knew if we could figure out how to move those stairs, that you would walk in the front door and just get this 180 view of the water and the dunes. So we were very happy.
And I was thrilled. The house is on 10 by 10 pilings.
Yep.
So I knew even though the decking and some of the siding had been damaged, this house was so solid.
So this is our front entry, and one of the only original things in the entire house that we kept is the front door. I love the patina on it, love the finish, and could not bring myself to replace it.
It's not easy to make it work, considering how old it is.
It might leak a little sometimes.
A little bit. But it's totally worth it when you walk up and see that door knocker.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's a pretty one. This is the dining room, and it was once actually just a massive stair area. Originally, when we first saw the house, you would walk in the front door and into a large set of stairs here. And this ceiling that you're seeing was actually not there because of the stairs. You couldn't see the ocean. So one of the first things that we knew we had to do in the house was to figure out how to get these stairs out of here. So we took the stairs and we moved them over here. And with all of this extra space, we were able to add a loft above this area and create a really nice long dining space for the front entry.
And now when you walk in, the ocean is front and center.
Yes, you walk in and you just see those views. And right now is one of my favorite times of the year here because the sea oats are out and they're just blowing in the wind and they're beautiful. Love it, love it.
I thought you were going to say it's your favorite time of year because the ocean's angry.
The angry ocean is very pretty too.
In the winter and the fall, it gets pretty rough.
Yeah. So I anchored the space with a big, long, earthy oak table and then mid-century wishbone chairs around it. And because we didn't want to block the view when you first walk in the house, I wanted something massive for the space, but I needed something that wasn't going to block the view. So I went with this raffia piece here. It's massive, but also very sculpturally light. And this is one of those elements. Throughout the house, you'll see a lot of woven materials. I put them in every single one of the rooms. It's perfect. We have the sea oats outside, all the natural grasses around here. So raffia and jute and all those natural materials just work really, really well in this environment. Now we're gonna take you to the great room. It's the heart of the home. It has these amazing 180 views. It was the reason we fell in love with the house, and we cannot wait to show you around. This area is vaulted, and so it's a 2-story space, which is really incredible. And we have 2 stories of windows, which is amazing because you can see the ocean, the dunes, the sky, and it just, is captivating and why we fell in love with the place. I will show you over here. We'll start with this fireplace. Pulled out the original tile, and you will see this raw terracotta throughout the house. It's just a really simple 4x4 tile. And David, do you want to explain the captain, Captain Herndon?
Captain Herndon. We don't actually know if it's Captain Herndon.
We
call him Captain Herndon because we found him when we lived in the town of Herndon, and the town of Herndon was named after Captain Herndon, and this is what we imagine he looked like.
He was at our local thrift store, and I loved him. And this was before we even had a beach house, so we've saved him for many years if we ever had a beach house. So we feel like Captain Herndon has finally found his home here.
I've moved him around storage units for like 10 years before he finally found a wall.
Yeah, he's super kitsch, and that is the thing I really love about what we were kind of doing in this house. I didn't want the house to be serious. I wanted it to be playful and fun and kitschy. And so we love having him in sort of a more important place because he is kind of a family joke. So it makes us very happy.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke. Captain Herndon is not a joke. I shouldn't have said that.
Sure.
These chairs, Dave is always trying to get me to get rid of these chairs. I'm obsessed with them. They're mid-century, and
Careful.
he always thinks I'm going to break them. They don't break. They're really, really comfortable. I love them. They put you at a great lounging angle. I can't even remember where I found those, but probably at some antique shop somewhere. Here you can see we have some of the pampas grass from outside, and we brought it in throughout the house. It's so nice just to be able to cut it. We'll take you guys over here, and this is one of my favorite sofas. It's probably yours too. This is called the Glad sofa. It's from my collection with Taylor King, and we named it that because you're happy and you're glad when you're in it. It's super deep. We wanted a sofa that could really handle mess and
You always find a kid laying like
yes,
this.
they're always just like right on top of there. Cushions are usually flattened down, and I think they look good when they're rumpled. That was something that was important to us when designing the house. We knew the house was going to get messed up and have a lot of guests, have a lot of kids in it. So we picked things that looked good when they do get hit with life. Definitely the sofa gets hit with a lot over here. It's a soft, kind of pinky tone, and you will see throughout the house, the palette of this house is soft peachy pink and soft pinks, soft sand colors, because we are right on the dunes here in Duck, North Carolina. And what I love about the sand here in Duck is that it has sort of like a pinky tone to it. All the beaches are a little bit different, but this one has a little bit of peach in it and pink. So I pulled that out for things like the upholstery, the trim, the kitchen cabinetry, the tile, the rug, which is the pinkest of the pink. This is a crazy vintage pink rug here that I just loved, layered on top of a jute rug to get that really natural vibe going on. The jute is from our collection with Rugs USA.
You proved you can do any color.
Yeah, I was excited to get to do pink in here. That was fun. This coffee table here is by my friend Leanne Ford for Crate and Barrel. And we also love it because you will find kids actually on top of it. It cannot be hurt, and we love that. Another thing I wanted to do here with having such a large sofa was to really anchor the space, because you have, you know, the lower area here for the dining room and then this 2-story space here. So this sofa really sort of acts as an anchor and also a separator between the 2 spaces. So to do that, to get some more heft, I went with chunky lamps, chunkier side tables. These are from my collection with Woodbridge Furniture. And they're in that really nice sort of driftwood finish where it's very raw looking. And there's a little bit of paint crusted up in there, so you really can't hurt them, which I love. Practicality. All right, let's head around to the other side of the room.
Your favorite space?
Yes, my favorite space, my favorite spot, which is this woven leather chase here. I for some reason feel the need to actually lay in to show you how comfortable it is. But this thing is so comfortable. Just kind of relax in it. It's woven leather. Clearly there is sunscreen on it. People enjoy it. Salt water. It has already gotten pretty messed up, but I think
bathing suits.
Yeah, bathing suits, but wet bathing suits. But I think the longer it kind of ages and gets patina, it'll just get better and better. And then this is a really fun lamp here. It's a great spot for reading. I mean, today is actually kind of one of those cloudier days. It's just a really good spot to kind of sit and be alone when there are kind of a lot of people being loud, as the family usually is. It's nice to have a little getaway area over there. It took me a long time to make a decision on this light because it is in such an important focal position. And I wanted something large, but I didn't want something that would block the view when you were upstairs. So I finally found this one. It is this crazy layered metal piece. And while it is massive, you can see right through it. It was really important for me to keep the views unobstructed. So this piece fit the bill, and I'm so excited that we found it.
So one thing you won't notice in here, and this is true of a lot of your living rooms, is there's no TV. That's not the point of this place. The point of this place is to interact with nature and each other.
Yeah, you have your view, you have your entertainment right out there. And so yeah, I typically don't love to put TVs in living rooms because I feel like it keeps things more social, more activity focused. But I can't say I have the best TV habits because we always put one in the bedroom, and I know that's like such a no-no. So there are TVs in some of the bedrooms for movie watching. As a family, we somehow always all end up in a bedroom, like snuggling up and watching a movie. But I feel like we use living spaces mostly for having fun. So these chairs are some of the coziest in the house. They are from my collection with Taylor King, and they are machine washable slipcovers. So must have in a busy beach house if we actually have had issues and they do just go right in the wash and they come out good as new. But they are a slightly off-white. That's something else I do. I like to use materials and fabrics that read as white to the eye but aren't actually a technical white. So they are a bit more forgiving, but you still get that white slipcover vibe.
I'll either wake up early and I'll look out the window at the surf and see what the swell is like, or I will get woken up, Dad, there's a good wave today.
Yeah.
And so I love that. It's a lot easier than having to walk down the beach or check the surf report. So it's a really nice feature.
It's really nice. It's also weirdly hard to stop staring at. Like as you're talking, I was like, oh, it's so pretty. So
it's mesmerizing.
It is. It is. I think that's why this house is so special. You are filled with awe because you're just, the ocean's right there.
I read in a book it like reduces your blood pressure.
He's making fun of me. In my book Beach Life. I write all about that, and so he's making fun of me now. I talk about that. Now you're holding. But yeah, it does. It creates awe, and
it's amazing.
It's good for you to have that. It was a doozy of a renovation, though, I would say. Things move slower at the beach. That's something we've noticed with doing lots of projects down here. The timeline is a little bit stretched at the beach because, if the weather's good, it's a good day to go surfing.
All of our renovations required pulling out some of the walls and pulling out some drywall, and we found local juniper that matches perfectly. So half of this is original juniper. I'm not going to tell you which half, but half of this is the original juniper and half of it is brand new.
Yeah, some of it was water damaged and destroyed. So I guess you can guess which side of the house that was on, but there was a lot of water damage.
But there was a lot that we were able to save, and then there was some where we moved structure where there was drywall, and so we had to repair.
Yeah.
But it turned out amazing.
Yeah, the juniper was great. And this is kind of a quirky house. It kind of reminds me of a boat. I don't know, it's definitely got an 80s vibe to it for sure. It was built in the 80s. And I don't know, something about that sort of like vintage 80s vibe. I've been coming here since I was a kid. He's been coming here since he was a kid. And so it just had that good feeling. I don't know, it's spacious. When the kids visit, when they would come and we were in the renovations, it's just so much space. And it's hard to find an affordable beachfront home with this much space. It was definitely a good find, for sure. And so many of these houses are made for, families and friends visiting. And so we love the way the bedrooms were split up. There's a first floor primary suite, and then upstairs we have 2 king bedrooms, a bunk room, and a little trundle bedroom. So it really fits a crowd. I mean, you can get multiple families in here, which we thought would be great for potential renters and that kind of thing. So it really works well.
It doesn't do your kind of pitfall for beach houses.
What's my pitfall? I have a pitfall?
You have a pitfall for a lot of beach houses. The kitchen being on the top floor.
Oh, yeah. I love a lot of the beach houses. The kitchen is upstairs because you have the prettiest views, but I'm a little lazy when I'm outside and coming in. So I love it when we find a beach house that has the kitchen on the main level. Easier for loading groceries, and I love to get outside as quickly as possible from the kitchen. So yeah, it had that. I was very excited about that. Now we're gonna head to the kitchen, so follow me. Here it is, this massive peninsula, which we absolutely love for a big crowd. There's 4 bar stools and everyone seems to gather around this area. And if you come on here, the interesting thing about this kitchen is that this actually used to be the dining room. We spend a ton of time in the kitchen, I do especially, and so I wanted the kitchen to be in the back of the house to get those great ocean views. It's a nice big kitchen, which is great because it stores a lot of dishes, a lot of pots and pans, a lot of everything. So we have the large peninsula here. The center of the kitchen is one of my favorite pieces in the house, besides the chase, of course, is this old antique English island. It's just a nice work table, and I got it for a really good deal, which makes me love it even more. It has a beautiful patina on it. You cannot hurt it. You can't mess it up because it's already messed up. I love that. So I do a lot of prep here. One of the things I love to do in here is put a cheese board out when we're cooking, and the family just loves cheese and crackers and charcuterie. So kind of pop that on here and everyone can sort of pick and eat as we prepare to eat, which I guess, I don't know, Italian is kind of what we do. So I'll kind of take you functionally through the kitchen. Over here, I like to take the refrigerator, which I don't usually think of as the most pretty thing in the kitchen, and I put it sort of out of the way. So I put it all the way here on this elevation. And then we did a large bank of windows here and centered the sink on it. And as you come this way, you can see that we used the exact same tile, the raw terracotta tile that we used on the fireplace in here as the backsplash. And I did that to connect the spaces and to keep it feeling really calm. So the tile floor in here is actually a faux stone. It's a porcelain, and it's very, very close in color to our hardwood floors, which are oak. And so I didn't want a massive transition when you went from one space to the other, but I did imagine renters in this house, and I thought that the porcelain would just be a very practical, easy to clean solution for a kitchen that was gonna see a lot of people. So in this room, which has this sort of pale, peachy pink cabinetry, I wanted to make sure that it didn't go too sweet. So I did that by adding things like this massive wood island. You've got these hefty bowls that are really different and a little bit more stronger and masculine than the sort of peachy pink. So kind of putting things with their opposites makes them more interesting. The range here, I love to take a range and center it on a focal wall. And so the range and the hood have become the focal piece for this wall here. And it is flanked by identical sets of cabinetry. These are glass, and what's really cool about them is you can see we took the tile, the same raw terracotta tile that is on the fireplace over there, we took that tile, repeated it in here for cohesiveness, and then also put it behind the glass here, which is a really cool little textural element. Makes me disproportionately happy, but I really love it. This trick here, this is just really simple. It is painted drywall for our hood. It's one of the most inexpensive range hoods you can do, and I do it a lot. When we first got this house, we were thinking about it with resale and rental in mind, so I didn't want to break the bank on a really expensive hood, so this is a trick I use a lot here. So this is a great kitchen to cook in. It's nice to have all this space. We always say that we feel, like a place really feels like home once we kind of bomb the kitchen and make a huge mess. One of the things we love to cook here down in the Outer Banks, we love to do boils. And I also love to make clam chowder. So I think the last time I cooked in this kitchen was a huge pot of clam chowder. I had to freeze half of it because I made so much for probably like 20 of us. So I just love kind of making a huge mess in here and just cooking up a storm, having everybody come in from the beach, and we can kind of all hang out and chill and eat. It's an easy kitchen to function in because we've got the sink on one wall, the range on the other, the little prep island, and then this peninsula is where we do a lot of our entertaining, so we'll set up drinks, and we actually can have people eat here too, which is really, really nice. The lighting in here has sort of a little mid-century vibe to it. We've got these spheres here, so we've got this sphere, which has a little raffia above it, and then we have the plain spheres, which we use as flush mat lighting throughout the kitchen. Another of my favorite lighting elements is spotlights. I love spotlights, especially in the kitchen when you have something pretty to highlight. So I clearly was obsessed with the tile and the glass and the fact that you could see through it. So I had those lit up with spotlights to direct right on them. And then over here is one of my favorite little corners. We did a simple floating shelf here and just put a little horse painting. There are wild horses around here, so you'll see a lot of horse pictures and paintings. And then that just has a really simple sort of crackled porcelain sconce above it. These stools are great. Again, they're adding that woven element that I love so much, and they are from Pottery Barn. All right, now let's head into the family room.
Now, getting into the family room was quite the predicament we found ourselves in. Moving the stairs became really a situation, and so we had to figure out how to still access this room and still have enough rise and run to get up the stairs onto a second floor. And so we did some real tight.
I know, I was like, I think we can do it, but we had to kind of shift here. This was the original kitchen in here, and we
managed to make a door big enough and the stairs clear it so
Yes.
we can get up to the second floor, but it was no small feat without pushing and shrinking the new kitchen.
So we had this leftover space here, and we knew that the house would function better with a little family room. Should we take you in? Oh, this door. You should tell them about
Yes.
the door. This is a fun door.
And so we couldn't have a real door swinging covering up the mechanical room, swinging into the room, taking up all the space in the room. So Lauren came up with the idea of a barn door. And the idea was to put the juniper that's on the walls on the door. And so we made this door, and then we just put it on a regular old barn track, and we solved all the problems just like that. Plus, the design-wise, it doesn't draw too much attention.
I love that he knows
It looks
this.
like all the other walls.
That's right, that's right. Yeah, I wanted to be able to close this door and tuck away mess, also tuck away the volume of the kids that would be getting stuck in this room when we go hang out here.
We had a lot of fun. Well, the guys had a lot of fun making this feel as much like an old ship as we could. And so Lauren has this trick where she paints the drywall black before we put the wood treatment on. So we make these gaps, and uneven gaps, different lengths and different sizes.
I just kind of tell the guys, I'm like, you can mess up or drink a little bit before you do this room because we do not want perfection in here. And so they did a good job.
And the black comes through and it makes it really, really look good.
I wanted it to have sort of a, like Walrus and the Carpenter from Alice in Wonderland, just kind of like really quick, kind of sea shanty vibe. Not sea shanty, I would be singing yo-hos in here. I wanted to have sort of a really, yo-ho. I'm sorry, I told you sometimes I get weird. I'm sure I stop. I wanted it to have just sort of a really casual kind of sea shack vibe in here. And I think they did a great job. This art behind us, this is kind of fun. So it's a mix of vintage and antique and also downloads from Etsy. We were thinking of selling and or renting the house. And so we really couldn't spend a lot of money on artwork. So a bunch of these are actually just downloads. And then I bought a bunch of vintage frames and we framed them in
We also mixed ships and horses because we're in the Outer Banks, and when we started coming to the Outer Banks, the horses would be in your trash if you left the lid open.
Yeah, I know. We're it's not as wild as it used to be, but the horses are still here.
Life hack, those shades, right?
Oh yeah, this is a good thing. I feel like the world needs to know you don't always have to spend a lot of money on custom window treatments.
You just tell me you want whatever standard size, and then I just roll them up and take a circle saw and I just chop off the edges.
So they are not custom size. We buy the closest size to the window, and then Dave just saws them down. Sometimes we even use scissors because the matchstick is just so flimsy. I can just kind of cut through it. And so we saved a lot of money on that. These are, I don't know, like $20 or $30 each. So good little savings tip there. This little hanging light is one of my favorite things. It just has that kind of raw, casual vibe to it. And it's a great little reading light for this corner of the sectional, which I might add is IKEA. And it is great in the space. It fit almost perfectly. And what we did to make it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more luxe, was we took the original back cushion inserts out and put down cushions in there. Because again, I like it when the cushions are down and they kind of look good when they get messed up. And then layered it in with a bunch of vintage and new pillows, just different stripes, some browns, earth tones, and a little bit of that pale pink again. And the sofa itself is a deep charcoal color. I definitely wanted something in here that was dark. Food does come in here, so I did not want to worry at all about that. And it's just been a really cozy little hangout spot to watch movies and curl up. The rugs, again in here, we did the layering. It's a base jute rug from my collection with Rugs USA. And then the top rug is a vintage rug, again with pink and earth tones in it. And we have this concrete coffee table. You'll see a lot of these sort of glasses with the woven netting around them. They're from our shop, and I just love them, so put a bunch of them in the house.
The concrete table seems to have some nice patina.
I know, it looks like it's been cracked. I can't really tell. It looks fine.
Little people jumping on it, or
probably.
Our secret for fitting the kids on the couch is that Lauren and I aren't actually taking up seats. We are seats.
Yes, they do sit on us as well.
Usually 2 or 3.
Yeah, but we are able to fit the whole family in here on this cozy sectional. Maybe sometimes there's someone on the floor here, but yeah, it works, even though it's a tiny space. I don't know. I guess that's one of those things I've noticed too, in a lot of interiors we do, is that people do tend to kind of gather in a lot of the smaller, cozy spaces. I don't know. I guess that's what humans do. I came into interior design in a sort of roundabout way. I should have realized I was into it sooner because as a child I would rearrange my bedroom, go to my friends' houses, rearrange their rooms, and fix everyone's everything up. But no, I didn't realize it until after college. And so I got out of school and I was working in PR, but I started decorating my first apartment and realized I found that way more fun than actually doing my job. So my roommate was so patient. I repainted our dining room like 3 times, and she was very sweet to let me do all this. So I enrolled in a distance learning interior design program and started staging houses. And then I knew I wanted to open up a design business, but I wanted to start by staging with smaller jobs. And then my staging clients began hiring me to do design projects. And then the business just grew, and I hired an employee. And then at a certain point, I was hiring another one, and Dave was teaching. I don't know if you wanna.
Yeah, I was teaching and working.
High school English.
I was teaching high school English, and we were working nights on the business and weekends and then summers.
Yeah, and by this time, I think we had
Flipping.
3 kids
Yeah.
at this time.
And we were like, this is just too much. It's growing. This is great. We need to hire a project manager.
Yeah.
And we went on like monster.com back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like triple what I make as a teacher. I was like, I'm doing this.
He's like, I'm quitting.
Like, I'm in. I'm your new hire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she didn't really have a choice because we were married.
Yeah. So Dave came on as project manager and handles a lot of the back end. I say he gets the fun job of all the paperwork. And
I don't want to pick out rugs. People would not be happy.
Yeah, so then I do the design side of things, and our business has just kind of grown throughout that time. When I was first starting the design business before Dave had come on, we had bought a home in Northern Virginia, and the real estate market did the crash, and it was
Buy high, sell low.
yeah,
Is that what you're supposed to do?
we've learned that lesson. But we ended up selling our house, and we moved into my parents' basement with our 1-year-old at the time. And I think at the time we were, I don't know, we felt terrible because we lost all this money on our home, and we had only been married a couple years. But it was probably the best thing for us because my parents were there and we had help with babysitting, and that's really when I got the design business off the ground because we had all that help, which we never would have had living on our own. And then I started a blog at the time, and my blog was really instrumental in getting word out there and sort of getting published in magazines. I would show pictures of projects on the blog, and then magazines would reach out to me and say, hey, can we shoot this for the magazine? And I would like flip out and be like, yes. And so getting published kept happening, and that's really how the business sort of grew. So now we're just in the business together, and we have more employees, and we've branched into product designing, which I love. So I have a textile collection, lighting collection, rug collection, upholstery collection, case goods collection, kitchen cabinets, and a little bit of plumbing and tile. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying getting to design not just the houses, but the things that will go in the houses. And that's been really, really fun to get into.
Everyone always asks us, don't you get sick of being around each other all the time? And we say no. Like if she has a client meeting and I'm stuck in the office all day, we get back home and we're like, oh my gosh, I missed you so much today. Well, tell me about your day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other days we get to just be together, we love it.
It's great.
I couldn't imagine not doing that.
I know. I feel so lucky to get to work together. We were also those annoying people that like to do everything together. I will say that. So we're like, yeah, if you're gonna like go to the post office, I'll drive with you and like check emails at the same time. All right, this is, you want to say it? This
Sky Lounge.
The Sky Lounge. We actually named this space. It was kind of a joke when we first got the house.
I wasn't joking.
Well, I remember it's like, it's going to be the Sky Bar, the Sky Lounge, because we pictured this really cool hangout space here where you can just completely, like when you're standing up here, you can see the ocean, but also the sky is just beautiful. So, and you're up sort of in the sky. So.
No, this space is so amazing. You're just immersed in the view. And you have a gathering space. You have this huge table. And so the kids and I love to play games on this table and hang out and enjoy the view, enjoy each other, and still have the rest of the family can be downstairs. So we still feel connected. It's pretty magical.
I can yell up here. You guys can hear me.
You guys hungry?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this table is 5 feet wide. It's massive. It's the modern Ming from my collection with Woodbridge furniture, and the kids are on top of it a lot of times as well. Yes. And we just got to load it up with books and all things about the ocean, dogs, seashells. It's fun to be able to have a space like this where we can collect books. We sort of have a book problem in our lives. We love books. We love collecting them and reading them. And so it's nice to have such a big space that we can put our addictions on here. Again, in here we have another jute rug from my collection with Rugs USA and a vintage one on top of it. The 4 chairs surrounding this 5-foot massive table are just really simple rattan chairs with a mid-century vibe. They're very, very comfortable. They have that angle that I love that kind of sets you back. Very, very comfy. And then over in the corner, we have this cool little bar cart setup, which I love, and more pampas grass. This is from maybe a couple of years ago, so it dries very nicely.
Holds up very well.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes it's windy and it'll fly all over you though.
So this spot over here was amazing. It was actually a sauna.
Yes.
It was a 1980s sauna. It was so great. Why do we have to get rid of it?
The stairs.
I'm joking.
Oh, I was like, I do want a sauna.
It was like a one person, maybe like 4 foot tall person sauna though.
Yeah,
I think you could go like climb in it and just sit.
The kids loved it. It was their like a little zoo, and they would go in there and be
like,
like,
it was like a terrarium. We would put them in there and look at them.
We had to take some of the space for these stairs here, and then decided to create a little shelving niche here for all of our collections. And it's a fun little spot. It's kind of ever evolving. Things tend to move around in there when other people have stayed here, so it's good to see.
Another awesome part about the Sky Lounge, and in fact the whole living room ceiling, is, what did you call this type of, is it a wash?
Oh, so this is regular paint watered down to give it sort of a washed milk paint look. I love the shape of the ceiling, and again, the house has a quirky architectural form, but it reminds me of a boat, and especially the ceiling, and you've got the skylight, so I was very excited to get to work with that. And the ceilings originally were dark, but we had them painted to sort of lighten up the space, make it a little bit airier and a little bit more fresh.
But you can still see some wood grain come through the paint, which makes it feel so old-timey and authentic.
Yeah, I asked for a sloppy paint job, so we got one and love it. All right, now let's head to the bedroom. This is the southeast bedroom, and it is obviously on the ocean side. It has a great view. Really, really beautiful to wake up to. This is the room that we stay in when we stay here. The bedding, I went with vintage style Martha Washington quilt, and it is paired with a more modern or mid-century rattan bed. And we have our fun little "Don't Give Up the Ship" flag above the bed. The entire palette for this room was based on the rug, which is one of my rugs from my collection with Rugs USA, and it is a mix of pink and blue. And so we had a lot of fun. Went with pink walls in here. The contractors were all like, what is she doing with all this pink? But I was really excited to get to do a pink room. And I'll let you tell them about the ceiling.
So the ceiling was another save situation where we had this beautiful juniper, but some of it was ruined, and then we built in a closet, so we had to cut into the ceiling, and so we were able to find matching juniper and stain it so you can't tell where the old...
You can kind of tell. Yes, you can totally tell, but not that badly. It was a pretty good match, I would say.
The other thing about this room that I love is sleeping with the door open and just hearing the sound of the waves.
I'm going to show you this because it's just really, really beautiful, and we just love it out here. You got to see this. There is that ocean today. It's windy and it's beautiful. And this is doing that curtain thing that I absolutely love. So you can see these are really light curtains. I love opening the door here and letting the curtains breeze in the wind. These are by Amber Lewis for Anthropology, and they're a very light cotton. And so they are the perfect beachy, blowy, breezy curtains. And they have that pink we needed in here.
So we get up early and we go for a walk on the beach, whether it's before sunrise or not.
We shoot for sunrise, but lots of times we're a little bit lazy. But we're out on the beach usually bright and early in the mornings. And so this door is great because you can just kind of open it up and check the temperature and then close it. And then mostly we just run out to the beach because it's too inviting, I would say. For nightstands, I just went with really simple oak nightstands. They have a leather handle, which I love here. And I went with very, very inexpensive lamps, and they have that cool kind of crusty pottery look, which I love. I love to take things that are a little bit earthier and more masculine and put them in a room that's pink. It's that juxtaposition that I really love that kind of makes this room for me. I kind of describe my design philosophy as down to earth, and that means that I like things natural. I love to bring in natural elements, things from the outside. I use a lot of natural fibers and real materials, and I like things relaxed and casual, clearly. I like for homes to feel welcoming and almost like an exhale, if that makes sense. The world is so crazy, so busy. I want homes to be the places where my clients can go to just sort of like flop and exhale and just sort of be. So yeah, I would say down to earth, relaxed, natural, collected, timeless. I like for interiors to stand the test of time. I don't want my clients to feel as if they have to go change out their throw pillows seasonally or change them out every year and shop all the time and buy all the time. I really like to sort of get things right and then let people really live in their home and collect things that are more meaningful and maybe personal, like artwork or accessories, that kind of thing, but not really have to mess with furniture because you went trendy on something. I really like to bring in timeless pieces.
Materials too, materials that will wear well with age.
Yep, absolutely.
So as they get used, they're only more beautiful. Not, oh my gosh, it's got scratches, now we gotta replace it.
Yeah, it is very important to us with 5 kids and 3 dogs, and our clients, a lot of them have big families too, is just things have to be able to handle the mess that life throws at them. So like these are washable slip covers. I love materials that you don't have to worry about. I think that you can really only be comfortable in a home when you know that you can't hurt it and that you can truly relax and just do your thing in it instead of worrying about, you know, messing something up or spilling, that kind of thing. So this is the northeast bedroom, mostly used as a guest bedroom, and surprise, it's pink, but with another pink room. This is a softer pink, it's a peachier pink. And one of the things I love to do when decorating, you know, at the beach, it doesn't always have to be like blue and white nautical. I love to incorporate kind of more unexpected colors and textures and patterns. So you'll see here on the bed, we have a floral quilt on the bed, but then, you know, I paired it with a stripe in this kind of mustard color, which does feel a bit more coastal. So we had fun doing that kind of thing. And you've seen sort of these little flags throughout the house. This one is Stay Wild Ocean Child. We found most of these on Etsy, but I did want that, again, that little bit of kitsch coming in throughout the house, that little bit of fun, because I didn't want it to feel too serious or too formal, and that does just that.
And it looks so good against the wall, but that was a happy accident.
Hey, remind what happened with this wall?
So we had the beautiful juniper, and this is one of the first rooms they did. And they just started painting it.
Oh, that was right. We were
and
going to keep this
no,
wood.
This is supposed to be the beautiful juniper. But then you were like, you know what? No, I think I want to continue this.
Yep. So we took the pink and put it all over. And we did have them do that sort of purposefully sloppy paint job once the paint job was started. So you can kind of see the wood through it. It gives it more depth, more texture, which I love.
More sea shanty.
Yes. More sea shack. And so this bed here is from Crate and Barrel. Again, it's that light kind of pale wood. And then the 2 nightstands are from IKEA, the good old mom dresser, bolted to the wall, of course. Oh, this rug is really one of my favorite rugs. It's more of a matte, really, and it's from my collection with Rugs USA. But it's really cool because it's got this straw woven through it, and it feels really, really good on your feet. These are some of my favorite curtains from Anthropologie. I use them all the time, and that is just so romantic when it does that. And so just about the thinnest cotton you can get. That makes my heart happy. Okay, sure you guys want to move on to the next room, which is the bunk room.
All right, so this is the bunk room, and I'm very proud of the bunk room.
Yeah, it was a lot of thinking
a lot of figuring out.
Yeah.
Starting with
we have 6 beds.
We have 6 beds.
Which is a lot in one small room. And then Dave is really It's
very
amazing,
excited.
this window, I will say.
We got portholes. They don't actually make portholes for houses though. And
Well, they're not code because you have to be able to open.
Well, there's no jamb for
Yeah, you can't.
for the window. But we went to a restaurant and we noticed that they had portholes. I was like, how did they do that? And so I walked to the outside of the building and I realized they had a regular square window and then they just put a porthole over the top of it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. So if you go look from the outside, you're just going to see 4 square windows. But when you look in here, you see portholes.
So each bunk has its own portal window, and you can see the ocean from all 4 of them. So even though this is on the west side of the house, you still have ocean views. So the kids can kind of curl up in here. They each have their own reading light and their own little ocean view.
And so it feels like they're looking out the bottom of a ship. And we even did...
We leaned in. We leaned
We
in hard
did
here
hard.
to nautical
We
in
figured
this
out
room.
a rope system, and we have cleats to get them up
Yeah,
into
because you really
their
kind of need
bunks.
to like use this to get up here. So you need something. We found that out the hard way. The kids were like, help. We're like, oh yeah, you need something. So we have a cleat to get up in here there.
And then some awesome nautical lights.
Yeah. But then I wanted to soften it a bit with the paper, the wallpaper on the walls. We have both girls and boys. We've got all the blue, but then I did want to add this little bit of floral paper. I think it's good for the boys to live with some flowers, you know, every now and then. All the kids have their own little spots, and when people come to visit, everyone seems to kind of find somewhere to curl up in. This room also gets used a lot for play, like not even always for sleep, but there's so many games that they kind of play in their little areas. There's 6 different areas here.
And each little bed has a little reading light.
Yes.
Which is so key. So the main light can go off, but somebody can keep reading without disturbing everybody else.
Yeah, with its own little wall switch for that. So really easy. Get cozy up in here. Oh, these curtains are fun. These are also Anthropology. And they have, they're blue and white, and they have these little monkeys in them. Very playful, blue on blue on blue in here. The rug is a vintage rug from our shop.
I also love how none of the, do any of the bedspreads match?
I think maybe randomly these 2 happen to, but
the
yeah,
rest,
most of them are mismatched.
So cool.
I love kind of doing that, mismatching quilts. It gives it a more collected feel, a more casual vibe. I think the pillows are also mismatched. And so yeah, this is a fun, fun space. This gets used more, I would say, mostly as a playroom. And they love playing and climbing and jumping around in here. I think home for us is where we are all together, for sure. I know that's probably super basic, but I think that is the truth. It's like wherever we have all of our kids and all of our dogs and we're together, it definitely feels like home when we're all together. What would you say?
I would add a meal.
Oh, you're right. That's true.
When we prepare a meal
Yeah.
and we're all sitting down eating it together, if we prepared it at that place, it all of a sudden feels like home.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
know why.
That's true. We always say when we move to a new home, the first time we make our family's bolognese sauce, when the Mastronzi bolognese comes out, we're like, now it's home, because we have to blow up the kitchen, make a mess, and then it really does feel like home at that point, I would say. Bye, Homeworthy. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Hope to see you guys soon.
Take care.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Wesley Moon and welcome to my house in Fire Island Pines.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy episodes, be sure to check out the product links below for amazing furniture, accessories, and more.
Hi, I'm Wesley Moon. I'm an interior designer based in New York with projects all around the country. You are currently at my home in Fire Island Pines. I found the house because my next door neighbors are actually my longtime friends, and I'd been searching for a house in Fire Island for quite a while. And they said, why don't you look at the house next door? And I'd never really thought about it, just because it seemed like it was just a much bigger and fancier house than I ever wanted. But once they brought me over here, I fell in love. The thing is, the owners I bought it from were the original owners that built the house, and they loved it. And they didn't want to sell, but they had to because one had a health issue and they were afraid of being out here on the island where you can't get medical attention so quickly. So they had actually turned down 2 previous buyers because they didn't think they would take good care of the house. And so my friends actually acted as my referrals, called them up, said, hey, Wesley Moon's here, he's interested in your house. And they knew me from an article that Arc Digest had done about the restoration of a Norman Jaffe house in the Hamptons. And so they thought, this guy will take care of our house. And I had dinner with them in the city, and we hit it off, and they let me buy it. So as you come in, you go up the boardwalk, which of course boardwalks are indicative of Fire Island pines. We're surrounded by rhododendron, we have climbing hydrangea, and normally there's a lot more flowers going on. We're a little late in the season. The rhododendron have the most beautiful hot pink flowers, and then we have the hydrangea over here, which are normally white. Some of them, sometimes they fill in as pink. The garden is obviously a mature garden and something that the original owners started 40 years ago. But I came and filled in a few more trees along the front fence for a little more privacy, and then did the rocks and the rock paths instead of having just mulch. I'm dreaming of the day when I find the right sculpture. I want the right big sculpture to sit here among the ferns, but haven't found it yet. If there's any artists out there that want to send me some proposals. So then as you walk up to the house, you get to the main entry. I also love the way that the house sort of is a little hidden when you first walk in the gate, and as you come up around the curve, it sort of reveals itself a bit more. So the front facade of the house is a bit more serious. It's a bit more serene. It's got that business in the front, party in the back, so I call it the mullet house. But I like that the front of it can be a bit more imposing, and it really gives a sense of privacy. But then once you're inside and once you're in the back, then you can loosen up and like really let your hair down and have a good time. So here we are just in the entry when you first walk in the house. The house is very open in the public space. So as you come in, there's just, little entry table, staircase up, and then you arrive in the double height living room. This is my favorite part of the house because it's not a very big house in terms of footprint, but it's got a lot of volume. So this is where you have like these really high ceilings, about 22 feet high, and this giant skylight up here. So we have light in here all day long. And I also love the round window that's up here above the fireplace. This is the wood wall that was here when I bought the house, and it's something that I just really love and that I would have done myself. I think it's just an amazing sense of scale. I love the horizontal lines and how that like plays against the verticality of it. So this is a place where we actually really only sit in the shoulder seasons, run the fireplace when it's a little chilly outside. Otherwise, we basically live outside. But everything in this house, I didn't want anything to be precious. So even this is a beautiful like Pierre Frey indoor-outdoor fabric. The rug also indoor-outdoor. So I wanted it to look sophisticated and nice and pretty, but at the end of the day, still to be a beach home that can be lived in and used. So the coffee table in the living room is actually original to the house, and it was something that I loved and I kept. It's vintage Lauren Marsh, so it's actually a really nice piece of furniture. But this also serves as a stage. You can easily take everything off. Anytime that we do any like costume parties, we clear this off, and this is where we take all of our pictures. People have been known to get up here and dance a little bit. Very sturdy table. And then it's just full of things that I love. This is a cactus that a dear friend of mine brought first time he came to visit out here. So the orchid is a really funny story because I'm not usually an orchid person. I mean, of course they're beautiful, but it wouldn't always be my flower of choice. But when I came to see the house the first time, they had all the light switches labeled. There's over 91 light switches in this house. I don't know why, so I ended up putting it on a Lutron like system I controlled my phone. But originally, each light switch had a little label on it. And one of the labels said orchid light. And I was like, and I realized there was one switch that controlled just one light up there that was made to shine down on the orchid. So because of that, I've always held up the tradition of the house of having an orchid in this spot with the orchid light on it. Here I have what I call my adult yearbook. So I made this book for the first 2 years that I owned the house for me and my friends. And it's basically just pictures of all the fun that we've had here in the house. And then this book was left to me by the previous owners. And this one shows the pictures of the house when it was being built. So they left the construction photos. There's one I really like. Look at this. This is what the house looked like while it's being built. These were the previous owners, Russell and Eddie. Great guys. And like, I love this progression of the house being built. So yeah, they left me this whole notebook of pictures, which I love. And then of course I have Interior Designers at Home by Stephen Crafty, which by the way shows the apartment in the city, where you can tell, if you didn't see the previous Homeworthy, is a very different space. This piece of art I think is amazing. So this is by a Greek artist. He's a painter, but this is actually a photograph. His name is Michalis Goumas, and I love it because it makes me think of like an Italian Renaissance ceiling, but it's really just a picture of naked guys in a pool, which that's Fire Island, it's fun. And then over here is Falco. So this was an owl that got famous, it was in Central Park. And so my dear friend, next door neighbor, Ron Treskin, who is a graphics artist and he does screen printing now. So he made prints of Falco. So this is actually spring, it's got a green background, but he did all 4 seasons with different color backgrounds. And so I love this piece right here. So these fish sculptures, interestingly enough, I bought this one many years ago, back when I had that same first apartment out here. It's by a sculptor named Glenn Wildgus, and he's actually a local artist, lived in Fire Island for a very long time. And so when I got this place and I had the 2 niches, I actually commissioned him to make a companion fish on the other side just for this other niche. And so that's where that one came from. So if you've never been to Fire Island, a lot of people have some preconceived notions about it. Really, Fire Island is a 32-mile long island that's only about 3/4 of a mile wide. There's 13 different communities on the island, and they're all very, very different. So a lot of people think about Fire Island as being an LGBT island. And so there are 2 communities, the Pines, which is where I live, and Cherry Grove, which are both predominantly gay. And people oftentimes just think of, particularly the Pines, as like partying and people just here to like share houses and having fun. But the great thing that I love is there's actually a wonderful community of homeowners. Many people have owned their homes, like my neighbors, that have been here for 40, 50 years. And so there's this wonderful community of people that have dinner parties, and they're just much more low-key, and it can actually be a place of refuge and quiet if that's what you choose. But if you want to go out and party, that's here too. It's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure sort of place. So this is the dining area. This gets a lot of use. This is really a gathering place for me and all my friends, and you can fit 14 to 16 people at this table if you really want to. So the table, also vintage Lauren Marsh that came with the house that I wanted to keep, and it was in pristine condition when I got it, but now it's a little scratched up, but that's what I love about it. It's like shows that we actually use it. We have dinner parties here, we enjoy it, and so I don't mind. It's like a leather jacket. Like over time, it's gonna just continue to patina, and I think eventually it'll just look like it's supposed to be that way. These are vintage Dongia chairs that I recovered in this fun little fabric, so they just seem to go perfectly here. When I first got the house, these were just 2 recessed light fixtures that were over the dining table, and I wanted a chandelier, so I worked with Bright Brown to create this great rope. It's like a woven, like crocheted sort of rope and hand-blown globes. So it's kind of fun, very beachy, but still I think very sophisticated to use as the chandelier. That's just a light sculpture that I found that's from the 80s. And so I kind of love that that's like the same age as the house. And it's like a totally different vibe, but I like that. So this area is really just, I call it the family room, the den. We just really hang out here if we're ever watching TV, which is very rare out here, but sometimes you just want a chill night. But that is my Let's Have a Kiki sign, which I bought originally for the co-op that I had here before, the studio. And that was back in 2013 when Let's Have a Kiki was the song of the summer. But it's still appropriate today. So whenever the sun goes down, it starts getting dark in here, click, Kiki sign comes on, and it's time to have a drink and have some fun. So I love this lamp. So it's by my friend Benjamin Wiener of Coco Bolo Gallery. And I sort of commissioned it, and when I saw it, I thought it looked like something that had been like drug up from the sea. But then someone came in and said it looks like COVID, and I'm like, okay. But so it's my COVID lamp, and I own it, and I love it. And this is a vintage chair that I found on First Dibs, which I just thought was really funky, but it's actually so much more comfortable than you actually think it would be. I could hang out here for a good solid 10 minutes. This table is from Demuro Das. So they normally sell this table, but I custom added this shelf to the bottom, which I just wanted extra place for books. The house is not like, it's really brilliantly designed when it comes to storage, but there is still limited storage in the house. This wall is a really cool example though of the time gone by, right? Because this was originally, these doors open up and pocket back for a TV, but like it's so deep because it was for one of the old-fashioned deep TVs. And then this is all like the electronics equipment, but I kept the old cassette player, but they also have, you know, I have the, it's a little messy in there, but there's the record player, cassette player, and like CD player, all that fun stuff. But this thing, when I got it, was full of like big chunky electronics. And they had like the subwoofer door and all of that stuff. So I use mostly that for storage, but in there I have my Sonos that just plays throughout the house. So right here in the middle of everything is the kitchen. So this is like a chef's dream, I guess. I'm not a chef, but a lot of my friends are really good cooks. One in particular is an amazing cook, shout out to Rob, who really uses this space and turns out amazing dinners. One fun thing that I did was I added this sliding window in here so that you could easily open up and get to the grill back there, which we should have took the cover off. But so it's easy to pass through to the grill because before you had to go all the way around. Induction cooktop, and then the key to any sort of beach house or house for entertaining is 2 dishwashers, constantly like switching off between the 2. So yeah, the big kitchen over here for him to cook in, and then this area for people to hang out and talk and be out of the way. So it's nice to have the 2 islands. So in the kitchen, I really loved the finish on the original cabinet. So I kept that. All I did was change the countertops. I did this quartzite material, which is super durable. It's beautiful. It feels kind of beachy to me, but you can literally cut a lime on it and it's totally fine. So I wanted that kind of resilience out here. And then I also put in new faucets and plumbing fixtures. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of updating to do in here because it was so nice to begin with. The house was in pristine condition when I bought it because, as I said, the previous owners took perfect care of it. But there were rooms like the bathrooms and the kitchen that needed some updating. So I wanted to respect the original style of the house, but also have to put a little bit of my own stamp on it. Now, people often think of me for maximalism, particularly people that know or have seen the previous Homeworthy on my place on Park Avenue in the city, that it is definitely a maximalist sort of place and very colorful and very precious, where here I wanted the exact opposite. I wanted it to be relaxed and feel like you're at the beach and just be able to entertain and fill it with my family and friends and not have too much stuff around. For me, I understand for some people there still may be some stuff going on, but for me this is very simple and pared down. So I wanted to respect that postmodern aesthetic, but also bring it up to date and to make it also feel very beachy without feeling sort of Golden Girls, which was a little bit of the previous vibe. So I really felt like this house had a bit of a French Caribbean vibe, and I know here we are in the Northeast, but with the Carolina shutters that were already here, and I really like the feeling of that, and just sort of the openness. It kind of has that sort of, or almost like you're at the Bahamas. And so I wanted to play into that, but then also bring some of the Fire Island bohemian flavor to it as well. So it's really a mix of a lot of different things that I believe makes it very me, but also just makes it comfortable for everyone that comes. So right off the entry when you first walk in here is one of my guest bedrooms. So this guest room is, I love this room because it actually originally was the gym for the previous owners. So they had this wall mirrored, and so we kept that intact and just did wallpaper and drapery and light fixtures and turned it into a bedroom. But again, I think this is a great example of how this house feels so big because of like the double height space in the living room and the openness of the entertaining area. But the guest rooms are intimate and small, and that's fine out here. You should just be in your room to sleep. Otherwise, get out, go have some fun, or get in the sun. So this wallpaper is made out of woven bark and leaves, and I love the tropical kind of vibe that it gives, but still also elevated and sophisticated. Artwork wise, I have original Calder print, and I love it right there because when you walk in the front door, bam, you see it, and it adds a good pop of color to the room. And then also this room has its own sliding glass door that leads out to a little deck, so a guest could choose to even come and go via that doorway. So for lighting in here, again, end tables weren't very big, so I wanted sconces, but we had the mirror, so I found these wonderful hanging lanterns from Palachek. Again, they're like a woven raffia that's dyed, and they make these beautiful little, I like the way they hang from these. So it's casual, but still elegant and chic. This is a bone inlay table and woven leather headboard. And then this light fixture up here, I had custom made by Bone Simple, and it's sort of a plaster kind of paper mache situation that I think is so cool. And then downstairs I also have a guest bathroom that I'll show you. So this guest bath I call the cabana bath. One reason is because it has an exterior door that opens directly outside, so if someone's at the pool, they can easily just pop right in here and you don't have to go through the house all wet. But it also has a shower. Now originally this room had like red granite floors and just plain white walls, and I brought in the idea of doing this Cerussed oak on the walls and this beautiful Ansax tile. And then over here in the sink area we have a new marble top, and I found this vintage mirror with the ceramic tiles around, and I just thought it was the perfect little thing to have. So I selected these floor tiles from Ansax, and I like them because they kind of have a tatami mat sort of feeling to them, but really it's because they're textured, and so if anyone's coming in wet from the pool, it prevents them from sliding down. So it's practical and beautiful. This is a really great print from a local artist here in Fire Island. His name is Arson, and it's obviously Poseidon, but in some sort of abstract way. I don't know, I really love it. That was beautiful. So here in the entry, there's this console with matching mirror that also are vintage Lord and Marsh. So they came with the house along with the coffee table and the dining table. But I just added drawers across the bottom because I needed a place for my sunglasses and my chewing gum and all the stuff that you need to go out. On here you will find, well, I love these little guys. I got them in Puerto Vallarta. I thought they were so cute. And then we have the Scandals book. So this is where I won't let you read, but we always have to write any scandals that happen, get written in the book with the quill. This is a great vase that I picked up, a Brooklyn artist. Sorry, I'm not going to remember his or her name, but I really, really love the shape of it. But I also have a really strong tie to Lego because it's all I played with as a kid, because I played with my Legos. And so when they came out with Lego flowers, I just had to have them. So that's what we put in this vase, and that way they never die and they always look beautiful. So I became obsessed with Legos when I was tiny, probably 3 years old, and by the time I was 5 or 6 years old, I was building houses out of the Legos. And I used to make my grandmother take me around to like developments where they were building new houses, and I would take pictures of them with my Polaroid camera, and then I would come back and try to build them with my Legos. And it really is one of the reasons that I think I went to architecture school. So I credit Lego with that. So these flowers are just a little homage to everything that, you know, the whole reason I have this house, and I just love them. They're beautiful. So that's it for the ground floor. Let's go upstairs. So here we are on the mezzanine, AKA the catwalk. So this is overlooking the living room, that double height space. And then, of course, the view is breathtaking when you come up here. I love that you can just see across and see out. Get the big skylight there. So it just gives you a really nice sense of scale of the space. This is a painting that the original owners left for me. So this is actually the house when it was first built in 1988. And this was before they built the porch off the back. Originally you went into the pool from the side. You'll see when we go down there that now there's a big covered porch here, which we live on. Thank God they did that. And then they added on that family room den that I showed you onto the side. So it's kind of a time capsule to see it how it was originally. The great thing about this house, when I bought it, all the mechanical systems, everything were in perfect condition. So everything I did was purely aesthetic. My bathroom, the primary bath upstairs, also was red marble, glass block, huge jacuzzi tub, white Formica cabinets. It was just high 1980s. So while it was cutting edge when it was done, I needed to bring that up to the 21st century. So I did that with onyx floors that are honed, that give it sort of that beachy, sandy feeling, which you wouldn't think about with onyx, but wait till you see. And then I made a little water closet, did a double sink on one side, and cleaned that up. So that was one of my other big projects. The kitchen countertops I changed, but the kitchen cabinets were actually really beautiful as they were. There were these amazing wood walls up the fireplace, on that wall there, and so I wanted to keep that. So I really just, in the main part of the house, changed the paint color and updated the furniture. Over the dining table, it was just recessed lights, and I chose to do a chandelier. So, you know, things like that. In the primary bedroom, it has this amazing floating bed in the middle, which is original to the house, and again, very 80s, and I loved that. So that I kept. And up there I just did wallpaper and light fixtures and drapery. So the gut renovation, like the hard work, happened in the bathrooms, but the rest of it was pretty aesthetic and just decoration, which was really nice. So then we go into my bedroom suite. This glass block wall I left as an homage to the 80s, to that postmodern, and I really love it. And on the other side of this is my shower that we'll see in a moment, where there's a skylight, and so the light pours through, and I just love that transparency. So this is going into my bedroom. So this is my bedroom. This is one of my favorite rooms in the house because you just feel like you're on the prow of a ship. It has this big round window with the perfect view, and I love that the bed is floating in the middle. This was how it originally was. This headboard / dresser with the built-in nightstands was all here when I purchased the house. And it's perfect the way it just floats in the middle of the room. The house also has these amazing corner windows, and I feel like you really get a sense of it here, being like wrapped in the windows and the light. I love the vaulted ceiling in this room. It gives it this amazing height. And this is actually another pair of prints by my friend Ron Chereskin, which I just thought were perfect for this spot. I have some vintage pottery pieces in here mixed in with some fun shoes that get worn sometimes on the 4th of July. And this piece of art here is by an artist named Justin Goodman, and I commissioned it just for this huge wall. I didn't really know what to do with it, and I couldn't find the right piece of art, and so I worked with him, and he created this piece. And it's so cool because in person, I don't know if you can tell on camera, it looks like Venetian plaster, you know, and I think it's brilliant. I think he needs to be discovered. And then over here is a sculpture that I found in the Paris flea market. And again, I thought it's so interesting the way that this relates to Justin's piece, to Ron's piece. So it was really an unintentional theme, the way that all of these things sort of relate to each other, but I love it. It was meant to be. This round window, again, original to the house, but when I wake up in the morning, I open the shade and voila, you know, you're looking right out to the water. I can come up here, see if any of my guests are up, because I am usually the last one to get out of bed, and just kind of get a vibe of what's going on downstairs, see the weather. It's just a really peaceful way to start the day with this view. So another cool feature about my bedroom suite is that it has this private mezzanine space out here. So this is just another space that overlooks the living room. To be honest, it doesn't get used so much, but it looks really pretty from the other side. But out here, I have my own private patio. So out here I have my own private deck. It's always in the shade in the morning, so it's a great place for me to do yoga or to do my abs workout. And then it's just a beautiful place to come and look out and see what's going on. You know, you can see down onto the pool deck. I love watching the boats go by. That cool vintage ship out there. It's just a really, really peaceful place to hang out when you need to just kind of be on your own. So right here in my private mezzanine, I have this chaise by Thomas Pheasant. It's called a kimono. Get it through McGuire. It's super comfy. And it has these really beautiful details on the end, which, I don't know, there's something kind of Roman about it, but I still love the caning on the end. So one of the other many things I love about Fire Island is that there's really very little light pollution out here, so you see a billion stars. When I first bought this house, my mom gave me this telescope as a housewarming present, so it's easy to just take it out there at night and look up and see what's going on in the universe too. So then right off my bedroom is the primary bathroom. So this room I totally got renovated. It used to have a very 80s giant jacuzzi tub. It was red marble. The glass block extended all the way around the shower. The toilet was just hanging out under the window. So I completely reorganized the plan in the space. And I used this onyx, which I know people usually think of onyx as being very fancy, but this gray onyx, when you hone it, I would argue it has a very like beachy, organic kind of feeling, and I think it's totally appropriate. I love the shower, which has, so I have double shower heads. I have the big skylight in there, and it's just a really nice way to wake up in the morning and feel like you're outside without being outside yet. And then I love the natural light of having the window over the sink, and having two sinks, of course, is paramount for any relationship. So this is the drag closet. This is where a lot of fun happens. So in here, as you can see, we just have many different wigs and headpieces to choose from. These are all outfits that have been collected from different parties, or like people come and just donate things. You know, like literally some friends came a few weeks ago and just left this caftan. Like you never know what's gonna show up. And yeah, we just keep all the stuff you need to get into a really fun outfit. And I also know if I ever find a feather in my house, someone's been in the drag closet. And then of course, ruling over the drag closet is this, which was a gag gift from someone. And that's a story for when we all have a cocktail. So yeah, all these costumes were collected over the years from different things. This was for a hat and heels party where I played my part. Her name was Lucy Stool, and she was from Palm Beach, and she was going on safari. Then of course there's like the pineapple purse that you never know when you might need that. This Amy Winehouse wig I actually used for a Dia de los Muertos bride one time. I feel like this is definitely something you need when you are gonna tell a fortune. It's also very Norma Desmond, isn't it? So, you know, oh, this we had, Pine's party theme this year was Galactic Cowboy. So we have some of these things. And then before I get any nasty comments, these are vintage furs that were part of the drag closet that came with the house. And this is also faux, by the way. Speaking of, Everyone on Fire Island has drag of some sort. I don't think everyone has a closet like this, although I think there are a few people out there that probably beat me as well. So anyone that says that drag is tearing away at the fabric of our society, gays would never harm fabric. You know, one thing about this house that really shocked me when I first walked in is the fact that it felt like a house I could have designed. There literally was not anything architecturally about the house that I disliked or wanted to change. And there were so many details in here that are things that I actually do in my own practice. So in a weird way, it felt like I did design the house in so many aspects, and that's one of the other reasons I love it so much. I think my favorite thing about this house is the amount of natural light that it gets. We literally do not have to turn a single light on until the sun goes down, mainly due to this giant skylight that's in the middle of the two-story living room, and it just floods the whole space with light. All the showers have skylights in them. All of the rooms have big open, sliding glass doors, and so we just open up the house every day. As soon as we get up, we open all the sliding glass doors and open the windows, and you get this wonderful breeze through it all the time. So the openness and the airiness and the light, that's just really what I love about the house. I mean, obviously there's the view, duh, but can't pick them all. So speaking of outside, you need to see where we really live, which is outside. So now I've shown you inside, but now I gotta show you where we really live, which is outside. So we call this space the loggia, and this is really where we are, I would say 90% of the time. Weather permitting, even if it's a little chilly, we're gonna be out here. It's just the best way to take in the views. It's an intimate seating area. Everyone can just hang out. The number of laughs we have on this porch should be illegal. It's the best place to be, and it's really where everyone just automatically comes together. So actually the furniture on this porch, these were original to the house. Like, it's amazing. They're old David Sutherland, or I should say vintage David Sutherland. They're original to the house. They're vintage David Sutherland, and I just recovered the cushions. And then this is a really nice ceramic table that I found on First Dibs. And this, her name is Joyce. She's an ashtray, and it's a Haas Brothers piece, and I just thought she was a lot of fun for any of my friends that happen to smoke. I found the secret to entertaining, especially in Fire Island, is just letting everyone be themselves. Like, if someone wants to have a cigarette, they can have a cigarette. We can have drinks. Everyone can just be themselves and talk, and I love bringing together people of different age groups. I mean, that's the other amazing thing. We have people out here that are trailblazers that have been coming out here since the 60s and 70s. So to bring them together with my younger friends and to share those stories, it's really amazing. And then half the time we're not even talking about things that heavy. Half the time it's just gossip and fun and joking around. And so I just find that this is a place where people from all different backgrounds and different age groups can come together and just relax and be themselves, and that's the best part about this island. Some nights we'll just randomly have like drag contests among our friends where you have like 5 minutes to go upstairs and get in an outfit and come down, and then you get judged. So, it's just a big part of the fun and a big part of the culture out here. So, coming down onto the deck, obviously we have the pool. I keep the pool at 92 degrees at all times. I'm a big baby when it comes to cold water. So we have a few sitting areas out here. So this one is obviously more of a lounge area. Sunset happens somewhere right over there. And we get the most gorgeous sunsets over the water. So we have this whole bench area out here where you can come to watch the sunsets, or right over here. Of course, we have the lounge chairs that we move around to make sure you're in the sun at the right time of the day. And then over here is the dining area where we oftentimes have brunch. And again, it's just nice to sit by the water. I mean, as you can see, there's always some kind of movement. You get the boats going by, you see the ferry when it comes in and out. But the beauty of being on the bay to me is the serenity. Of course, the ocean is gorgeous. I mean, who doesn't love being on the ocean too? But to me, that's like very kinetic energy, and it's always, you know, so much in motion. And yeah, I love that, and I love to go visit it. But here, it's always very placid and peaceful. Plus, when you're on the beach, you live in a fishbowl because the beach is a public place and people can see up into your house, you know, day and night. And here, it's very private, and we don't have to worry about any of that. So I really love the peacefulness and the privacy of the Bayside. So one thing I added right off the bat was a bar. So I put this baby in right after I bought the house. But back here I have the refrigerator and the ice maker, so it's just a really quick way to grab a drink. But also when I have a group of people over, I'll sometimes just hire a bartender to come and work back here and keep the drinks flowing. So this is like one of my favorite parts. But also people say it looks like a DJ booth, so I really have thought about getting that whole DJ setup back here too. In contrast to the front of the house, the back of the house is much more dynamic and interesting. The front, perfect symmetry. The back doesn't have that at all. I love the glass corners, the corner windows that are all through here in the dining room and upstairs in my room. And you can see that it actually has a bit of a gable roof up there, which is something on the front where it's totally flat, so it's totally different than that. So it is a lot more inviting and open, and it's really lending itself to the water and to the view and to the entertaining aspect of what goes on back here. So I enjoy that dichotomy between the front and the back of the house. So one story was when I had my first housewarming party here, I hired a drag queen from Cherry Grove to come over and perform. And she started her performance on the upstairs porch, and then she went to run down the staircase in the middle of the song, and I had roped off the staircase to keep people from going upstairs, and she didn't see the rope. So she completely wiped out. That was, I shouldn't be laughing, but she had on a Vegas showgirl outfit, and it was all these green feathers, and literally I found green feathers in the house for about 2 months. So then there's also another sort of tradition that they do in Cherry Grove where the drag queens at the end of their songs will oftentimes jump in the pool. Well, I had just put the brand new black pool liner in, and so my friend said to her, if you're gonna jump in the pool, you have to take your shoes off first because there's a lot of pool liners that have been damaged by high heels out here. So she was doing the performance, her final number, and she came up here to this raised porch and she takes her shoes off. And I was like, okay, so she's gonna jump in the pool. And I thought she would go down the stairs and jump in the pool. And then I realized she was jumping from here. Now, my pool is only about 4.5 feet deep at the deepest end. Not only did she not just like cannonball, she did a head first dive into the pool. Literally everyone at the party was like, oh, and I just pictured that her entire family was going to own my house because clearly she was going to snap her neck. But luckily she did a little shallow dive in and she just kind of bumped her head at the end, but she was fine. Came up with no wig on and eyelashes dangling off, and all was good. Because of the nature of Fire Island itself, we only get to enjoy this house about 6 months out of the year. During the winter, it's closed down, water off, shut. There's no businesses, nothing. But for the 6 months that we're here, home here to me is all about friends and family and the relationships out here. I love filling this house with all the people that I love and care about. And I also love the solitude of it. I love just the way that when you get on that ferry, all your stress melts away. You're out here, you're on the water. You know, here on the bay, we have a lot of privacy and we can just hang out and relax as much as we want to. And then we have fun dinners and we just, you know, we make it whatever we want it to be. But really, it's the opportunity to spend quality time with friends and family that makes this house so special to me. Okay, Homeworthy, thank you so much for coming. It's been great to have you, but I gotta get ready for tea. Maybe get some more scandals for the book. So, see you later. Thank you, bye.
Hi, Homeworthy. We're Joe and Joe. Welcome to our beach house in San Clemente, California. Come on in.
Watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name is Joe Menard.
And I'm Joe Toscana, and we are here in San Clemente, California. Welcome to our home. We've been in this home about 2 years, and we discovered San Clemente, this charming little surf town, about 4 years ago. We were living up in the wine country and decided we didn't love it, and so over COVID, I did an extensive search from Santa Barbara all the way down the coast to La Jolla. Somehow we found San Clemente. We had never been here before, and we did a road trip and fell in love with it, and that was how it all started.
Yeah, and what we found in San Clemente, the people are super friendly. You're walking along the beach trail, everybody says hello, and that was a big part of why we wanted to come here. We're right beside the beach, and the people are friendly. We love the beach.
So we didn't know a soul down here, which is kind of crazy, and a lot of our friends are like, where are you moving to? But we decided we wanted an adventure. All the kids are out of the house doing their thing, and this was our time to figure out what we wanted to do. And so we came down here, we found this charming area called T Street Beach, called a realtor, went looking at houses. Unfortunately, we couldn't really find a turnkey house, which is ideally what we wanted. And we came down a couple times, and we kept landing on this one house that wasn't exactly for us, but the location was ideal. And so we met with an architect that we absolutely loved, EO Design, and said, can we change this up? Can we make this more us? Can we change, there was a little galley kitchen we like to entertain. Can we move the kitchen to another part of the house? Can we kind of warm it up and make it more us? And they said absolutely, and we bought the house and started the project.
And the project ended up being fairly extensive. It was right in the middle of COVID. There were a lot of lags in logistics of getting things, but in the end of the day, all the time we invested in it, this place is fabulous. We couldn't have asked for a better home right near the water.
Actually, I'd have to say, people are like, oh, I'm happy with the results. I would have to say the results are better than expected. So we absolutely love it, and we're very happy with our move here. And our friends from Northern Cal that come to visit, they can understand, when they come here, they can understand why we did this. So we're just living the life that we imagined and loving every second of it.
And to that point, we often get the question, how could you leave Sonoma? It's wine country, it's beautiful. And we say, come on down. And they get here and they go, I get it, okay.
Welcome into our kitchen area. This is an important part of our home and was one of the major changes that we made to the home. Originally, the house had a very small galley kitchen around the corner that was very small, hard to work in, didn't really induce a whole lot of entertaining. And one of the things that we really wanted to do here was to move the kitchen to the center area, which was a lot of unused space, and it also has this amazing ocean view and a canyon view. And so this was kind of a big deal because we had to take out a fireplace and plumb and do everything that needed to be done for a great kitchen. So what we did here was we created this very massive island, which we can seat about 10 people. It's kind of the hub of the house. We're always at the island, and actually, we've only used our dining table for puzzles. We're always eating here, we entertain here, we work on our computers here. But what you'll find is we did a double island. So this is more of our workstation island, where we've brought in this very wide custom sink. I think it's about 42 inches. And we did double faucets, which enables us to work together. Joe can do the dishes while I prepare dinner, etc. And so this has been a really fun, functional part of the kitchen. The other most important thing that that I love here is our see-through cabinets. So because this wall originally was all windows looking out at a great view, but we wanted to make it more of a workstation for the kitchen. It's got our induction stovetop and oven, and we also had a lot of things that we wanted to store. We decided to do upper kitchens, but what we did was we included just a glass back and got rid of the wood, and that is the one feature I think most people that come into the house, they look at these cabinets and they go, wow, that was a great idea. And so we're really happy with that. The other things that we did here were including this very large refrigerator freezer. Even though it's just the two of us, I like to cook, I like to entertain, and somehow we always have these full. I don't know how we do it, but they're jammed. Our clear cabinets, while you're able to kind of see through them to the view, also include a lot of things that I really love. I've got a lot of my favorite little plates for entertaining, and I think one of my favorite things that I have here, I've got some little art pieces, little teapots and things from artist friends that I can view in these cabinets with the clear glass. So it's not only been fun to be able to see through into the view, but also to see some of our pieces that we've collected over the years. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the induction stovetop, because I think it's something that our architect said they're starting to put more in homes, but a lot of people are sort of afraid of them or don't understand. They're actually very energy efficient. When you turn on the stovetop, basically it just heats the food and not the pan. And what I found is that it is super fast. I can boil a pot of water in about 2 minutes. And once you get used to how it works, much more efficient in how you cook, much more precise. And so I feel that while people still have the big gas ranges that are starting to become old-fashioned, they're still a little afraid of these induction stoves, but I'm 100% for them, and I recommend it if you want to experiment with it. One of the things we wanted to use this house for, we love to entertain, we love to have visitors. I'm Italian, I love to cook, and we wanted a home that had a nice flow and could accommodate a lot of people. So you'll see as we walk through it, we've created a very large kitchen. It's the hub of the house. We're there all the time, and we've got some open spaces, a lot of little areas where people can collect both inside and out. And so it's been a really great home for having people here all the time.
Yeah, I mean, in every home, the kitchen and the area around the kitchen is always where people focus. And even though we have some great outdoor areas, the islands in the kitchen are just where everybody gathers. And as usual, lots of talk, lots of fun times, really.
Okay, let's go across the kitchen area into the other side of the house. But first, I want to stop and have Joe show you one of our favorite little places.
So in the morning, I said before that we sit on the couch. That's in the winter. In the summertime, we're over here in what Joe designed as a little cubby. This used to be a little sitting area for having breakfast. But what we do is we can sit on these chairs, the dogs hop up on our laps, and we can enjoy the view. And that really has made a big difference in how we spend our mornings. It's just a good space, a warm space in the morning where we can enjoy the coffees that I make for her.
And don't forget, it's also the best spot for the sunset. So we put in this built-in bench, which has storage underneath, which has been really great for blankets and pillows. And every evening, the sun sets right over the ocean here, and it's some beautiful, fiery West Coast sunsets that we love, and we can just lounge here and enjoy those. I think what makes this house our home is that we're so comfortable here with everything that has been put in it, whether it's the art, the furniture. It's a place that I always want to come back to, and we recently spent some time in New Zealand, and before that Hawaii, and I have to say, just coming home to this house felt amazing. I was anxious to come home at the end of those trips.
And I think to add to that, there's a lot of rooms and areas within this house, and they've been very well designed. Joe has done a great job with furniture and everything else, and every room feels homey. It doesn't feel like it's somebody else's house, or it doesn't feel like it's a hotel. It just feels very comfortable, very homey.
So when we lived up in the wine country, we had 3 acres of property. And what we did moving to the beach was we exchanged our 3 acres for 3 courtyards. And here's our courtyard that overlooks the ocean. This is a place we like to entertain. And the house originally came with this cement built-in sofa. And at first we weren't big fans and we were going to rip it out. And then we learned that a lot of the landscape architects were putting this exact cement sofa into all of the new homes. So we decided to make this a little space and add some more comfortable furniture where we can come out here and look at the waves and hear the waves and spend our sunset in the summers out here with the gas fire going and entertain. Another one of our outdoor courtyards is this little kind of sheltered area that comes off of our kitchen, and we have a bifold door that we open up. And what's really neat about this door, which I wanted to show you, is that it has a built-in screen. So we can close the screen when we're out here, leave it open for fresh air. And we found that this courtyard we seem to use more than other outside areas because it's very calm and sheltered. And sometimes when the ocean air gets really cold or windy, we can just come out here and read and hang out, and it's just a nice little spot.
So one thing that Joe didn't mention, there's a piece in the back here that's a joint collaboration between the artist and the mechanic. So Joe took some art from the internet, I suppose, added some touches, and came up with a Photoshop version of this art piece with the vase and the different faces up above. I took that and turned it into a numerically controlled CAD file and went to a makerspace nearby that had a water jet. So I cut that on the water jet and then I welded it together. So Joe designed it, I made it, and this will go wherever we go. We will never give that away. It's a beautiful piece.
Because we're people that like to entertain, we chose this 6-foot round table, exterior table, because we can sit out here on warm summer evenings and we can actually get about 10 people around this table and have really nice meals and conversation. So it's kind of a version of our island, but only outside, where we can have a really nice gathering.
And I mean, I should compliment Joe. I mean, we hired a landscape architect, but at the end of the day, Joe played an instrumental part. All of this greenery was installed, and it feels like we're almost in Hawaii. It really has a nice feel, very garden-like, plantation-like, and people walk in and go, ooh, it's very relaxing. So we come out here and read a book in the afternoons. Sometimes we just hang out with the dogs with a glass of wine. It's a very nice space. We enjoy it.
Joe and I have been retired for a little over 10 years now, and we both had careers in the Silicon Valley, Bay Area, and my background was graphic design. I was a creative director for some companies up there, and I segued a little bit into interior design as I was winding down. So the design part of this house was really important to me, and because of that career of always presenting creative work to clients for their input, what was really fun about this house, for the first time, we actually used a fabulous architectural firm that presented to us. And I have to say that one of the happiest times down here was when they presented to me all of the materials and the designs and the mood boards. I was just giddy. Joe will tell you, it was so much fun to just have somebody present creative ideas and be on the other side of the table, and I enjoyed that so much.
What she really enjoyed was putting the headset for a Quest on and walking through the house in 3D.
Yes.
She did look rather silly doing it, but she thoroughly enjoyed it. As for my career, I started off as an electrical engineer. I evolved into business, running business units, mostly in semiconductors and software businesses, ran sales organizations, ran marketing. So while Joe spent a lot of time, in design and all that, I got to do the fun stuff like smart home, Sonos sound systems, TV. But that's what I do anyway, so.
We're a good pair.
My tech background helped a lot to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, we're the opposite in that direction. Going into our living space, I'm going to have Joe take over and show you our living room where we hang out quite a bit.
Because the living room is all about electronics, of course. One of the things that Joe really wanted was it should be very clean. If Joe can see a wire, she gets really annoyed. So what we did is, and I'm not going to open the door because it's an electronic closet. We have a closet full of electronics over here. All of the wires go through the ceilings. We pre-planned it that way so that you wouldn't see a wire. And we're big streamers. So we have an 83-inch TV, which with the couches that we picked out, which recline. I love to sit with my feet up, and Charmy loves to sit on my lap. So this has worked out really well. We have speakers in the ceiling. We have surround sound. We can watch Dune in full thundering sound, or we can watch some of Joe's chick flicks, and she can giggle while I go upstairs and work in my office. So this has really turned out to be where we sit most of the time. In the morning, Joe's on that corner with the two pups. I'm over there having my coffee over there. It's really turned into a space that we spend our evenings. It's really a nice space, very entertaining, and the TV is great. So,
and I want to
do you approve?
I'd like to add one thing, and that is our wallpaper. Having been a graphic designer for many years, I love pattern and I love wallpaper, and I've had it in all my homes. This particular wallpaper is from a company in Sweden, and I fell in love with it when I saw it, but I knew that my engineer husband might have a problem with the scale. And so what I did was I created a mock-up in Photoshop and put in the furniture and everything was to scale to show him exactly how it could look. Well, he was away when the installer was putting it up, and I was a little worried because those leaves are ginormous, and I thought, oh, I'm a little worried. Well, the wallpaper hanger happened to be about a similar demographic as my husband, and the contractor happens to be a similar demographic of my husband, and they both loved it. And the wallpaper hanger said it was his favorite wallpaper of all times. So that was a little bit of a relief. And when he came home, he loved it. Phew.
But I think the important thing that Joe mentioned, which makes it easier for me, she has excellent visualization skills. I really don't. So when she takes a Photoshop of a room, you're actually looking at a picture that is exactly what it's going to look like. So I was able to look at it and say, looks good. So it eliminated a lot of debate because I could actually see what it was going to look like. So one of the other things here in the living room, which is interesting, and actually for the whole first floor, is there were 8-foot ceilings. Now, the original house was designed by a commercial architect, and we found out that there was 2 feet between the floor above and the ceiling below. So what we did is we raised all the ceilings we could, so they're now 9 feet, and to make it really attractive and hide some of the beams that had to be there, we used this great wood and made it look, and underneath these there actually are beams, though they're not exactly going all the way across, but this gives it a really nice feel and a really refined finish versus, it used to be like a tunnel or a cave because it was so low, it just felt dark and uncomfortable. And now it feels open and it really brings it to life. We have this cabinet over here which has a unique feature for the dogs. You can see their crates are inside the cabinet. So when they want to sleep at night, we send them in here, we leave the doors open, they go in there happily, we get up in the morning, they come out, they go out and do their business. So this has been a nice addition as well, and it's, you know, it's very discreet.
Welcome to one of our guest rooms. This room was here off the living room, and we decided to keep the footprint as is, but we gave it a little bit of a facelift. One of the things I love about the room is more wallpaper. This wallpaper can be seen from the living room, and so I had to be really careful to make sure that it worked with the large scale wallpaper that we have out there. So what you'll see here is a similar color palette, but it's a much smaller scale pattern, which usually when you want to mix patterns correctly, you might play with the scale, the large and the small. It helps them to not compete with each other. And so I've been really happy with this, and it adds just a little bit of whimsy to the room. Basically, you know, we've added a window to brighten this dark room. Right here, we kept this original wardrobe. The previous owners were European, and I think that they added this as a sort of a piece of furniture, but a way to store clothing, and we really liked it, and so we kept that. What you'll find here is a whimsical little paper mache light fixture that I actually brought with me from my art studio in our other home. It was painted a very bright chartreuse green, which I loved, which worked beautifully in that space. But when I brought it down here, it just didn't seem to work. And so we spray painted it white. And so it adds this little bit of charm, but doesn't overpower the room. In talking about mixing pattern, which is one of my passions, here again, we're mixing two different patterns. But again, because one of them is large and one of them is small, and some of the colors kind of blend together, it really works. Some people might find it busy, but I actually really enjoy mixing patterns and making them feel like they're meant to go together in an unexpected way. What we'll do now is take a peek into the ensuite bathroom. This bathroom originally was very dark. It was very masculine, a lot of black tub and shower and counter. And so what we wanted to do is make it a little bit more spa-like. So we lightened up the colors. We kept the basic footprint of all of the plumbing, but one of my favorite parts is this beautiful Celadon tile that just encloses the little area for the shower. The other thing that we did in the shower is we incorporated a window to brighten up the space, and because we didn't want anybody to see through that glass, we ended up using a fluted, if you take a look, there's a fluted obscure glass in there, which kind of hides any body parts. Our style for this home, because we are a little bit opposite in that I'm more design focused and he's more function focused, what I've learned is that things need to be somewhat neutral and comfortable, but they also need a little bit of interest for me. So what we've done in our home is we've mixed a little bit of calm with a little bit of whimsical or a little surprise. For example, our living room, comfort's very important to Joe. I'm more about like how it looks, but we've got this sectional that's very comfortable. The seats recline. He feels really good when he's watching TV, but I've covered it with pillows that I love. And so it's kind of been a compromise of making sure both of us love the space with both our design and our function backgrounds.
And Jo was very good because she had some what I considered to be great ideas, some ideas that were crazy, and if I said that's crazy, we kind of came to a joint agreement to make it more what we both want. And if it was what I want, she would have hated it, because I'd want more modern and stark and all that, and she's made it much warmer and much more enjoyable.
Oh, thank you. Welcome to our entryway into our San Clemente home. We've got Pixel and Charmy here.
This
our
is Charmy, our two rescue dogs.
two resident pups. We wanted to talk a little bit about our entry. We made some significant changes here. Originally, the house had a stairwell that came along this wall, which was red, and blocked any kind of entry to the outside. And so what our architect did was he came up with this brilliant idea to move the stairs, and because we couldn't add any footprint to the house, the stairs actually are floating above the ground, not adding to the footprint. So what that did was it enabled us to put this bifolding door that we can go out into our courtyard, which we actually use quite a bit. And coming down along this beautiful stone wall, this wall actually cuts through the entire house. It goes through multiple rooms, it extends on either side on the exterior, and it cuts through the roof up above. And so originally this wall was covered in a sort of a faux cement. It continued here. There was actually a piece of it right here that kind of blocked these spaces, which we removed. And we thought, well, what should we do with this? Should we paint it a color? Well, our brilliant architect said, no, let's cover it in stone. Wherever it shows up, inside, outside, it has this consistent look of stone. And we've been very happy with it. It adds a really lovely warmth, a textural aspect. I think that part of our remodel challenge was to warm up this home that had a very cement, cool kind of ultra-modern feel, and by adding the wood and the metal and the stone, it's really helped the house feel more about warmth and comfort and less about modern angles and that sort of thing. So this area, which is our dining table area, pretty much only gets used for puzzles. We don't actually eat here, but we still wanted to make it an interesting space. And we brought in some of our art. This is a piece that I had commissioned for the years when we used to drive from the Bay Area through San Francisco and into the wine country. And so that's kind of a nice memory of the times that we spent up there. As we come into this room, because the ceiling is so high, we needed some artistic things. And so these were some garden totems that I had purchased in the wine country. They're supposed to be out in the garden, but I thought they were so cool that I wanted to actually look at them every day. And so we put them on our table. And what it does is it kind of brings you up and fills some of the space and meets with these light fixtures that we had made. There's two light fixtures here. And because the house is so angular and square, a lot of our light fixtures you'll find are round, kind of bubble shapes, and it sort of makes a more organic feel to the house to have those round shapes. As we go into here, we've got a new piece that I actually just picked up last week from a Central California artist that I love, Cynthia Meyer, and this is a little bit of nostalgia for me. It's a painting of an old blue super beetle that I had in college, and this takes place at a vegan restaurant in Morro Bay, and so it's kind of just very nostalgic and personal to me, and it makes me think about some of the fun things I did in my earlier years. We just hung that a couple days ago. As we go into this wing, one of the things that we were missing in the house was a powder room, and so our architect carved out this little space and made it so interesting. Just a little powder room, but you can see that some of that stone wall is in there, and there was some interesting tile that they selected, and we had a lot of fun with that tile. Being a graphic designer, I was kind of picky about how that pattern would lay out, and so Dustin, the architect, and I actually had it on the floor, and we moved around all the little pieces for about an hour until we got it exactly how we wanted it, and then it was installed. And then, of course, now I'm looking at it going, I should have moved that piece over too. But we love the powder room, use it all the time, and it's a little kind of a little jewel of the house. So now we enter into the other guest wing of the house, which originally was the kitchen area. And what we decided to do was split it into 2 rooms. We've basically got 2 rooms and a bathroom in between, which can be closed off when we have guests. But I wanted to have a little space for me, and so this part of the guest area is kind of my little playroom. And so I do fun things like, for example, right now I'm creating a modern beach house dollhouse. And so it's kind of my rainy day project. And unfortunately, we haven't had a whole lot of rainy days down here in Southern California, but I need to get back onto it. And what I'm doing is wallpapering, putting in white oak flooring. I've got an island kitchen starting down here and just having a lot of fun with it. It's sort of my little guilty pleasure to come in here and play with that. So that's kind of my space to goof off on this. I've got this very old antique drafting table that was kind of too big for the room, but I am using it and enjoying it. When I'm working on my dollhouse, I sit in this really fun little chair that our daughters rolled it up the hill one day from their high school. It was in the dump and they thought it was really cool, and it was covered in this old ripped up orange polyester. And so I decided that it was worth being reborn. And so I actually reupholstered it myself and had a lot of fun with it. And so it matches these pillows that I had made and adds a little nostalgia to the room with this old chair, but it's actually quite comfortable. So this is what I enjoy when I'm in my space. When we have guests come, for example, my niece might come with her 2 little ones. We're able to put the 2 little ones on the double trundle, and they can kind of close off this whole area to be their space. And they will have a door to the outside with an outdoor shower coming in from the sandy beach. They can rinse off, and they can go right into the bathroom here, where we've got some really cool ocean blue tile that has a little feel of a little wave to it with the curve. Another one of our fun lights with more circles, more ocean bubbles wherever we can put them. And then we'll come out here to another guest room and part of the wing. And this is a really quiet little part of the house where our guests can have some peace away from everybody. Of course, you'll see there's more wallpaper. Any opportunity to put in a wall of wallpaper, and I will take that. And so this is just a very much bring the outside in kind of tropical greenery. What you'll find on the bed is I love mixing textiles, and these pillows, I think I purchased them about 25 years ago. I was having a phase of collecting vintage 1950s bark cloth. I used to work for eBay, and so I was really big on there constantly. You know, it was part of my job, but I was also, you know, in there finding all these really cool things. And I'm really thankful that I kept these all these years, because I think they're really fun. It's really fun to have like an older element to a room and mixing kind of new and old. And on that same note, what you're going to find over here, this lingerie chest was back in my bedroom when I was a little girl, and I kept it all these years, but it was really looking bad, and it was also looking very dated. And so what we did was we had it painted this really bright white, and I got some new hardware that I put on here, and it kind of has given it a whole new life. It's so cute that my niece actually said that she wants this in the will, which I think is funny. But what I did was I took my inspiration from these cute little Anthropologie nightstands that also have the lucite handle. So I was able to find some that matched, and it ended up making a really nice piece that kind of works in the room.
The thing I like the most about this house is, first, it feels really nice inside. Second, it's surrounded by some lush, real nice vegetation. But probably more important, when you look out the windows, all you see is ocean. Minute down the road, we're on the beach. So it's a great place to live. But inside the house, it really is super. We really, really like it.
I have to say, when Joe and I have been married only 13 years, We're second marriages, and when I met Joe, he told me that he imagined a place where he would live where he could hear and see waves. Somehow we ended up in the wine country. We're surrounded by beautiful vineyards, but there was no water. And so I think one of the things that I love about this house is that we can hear and see the waves. We hear the waves at night. We feel like we're on vacation all the time. Let's go upstairs. As I mentioned earlier, our architect created this really cool staircase that sort of juts out, and he felt like this would be a really great little feature wall to do something, and so he found this really interesting tile that kind of looks like Ruston Corten steel, but it's beautifully installed tile. And he also custom designed these railings, which you'll see as we go upstairs. These railings, it's a really interesting pattern because it's a random. We didn't want it to look symmetrical in any way, and so all of these little pieces were soldered on to be a very random mix of metals. And as we go upstairs and we continue with the white oak floors, we come out to some areas with some big, beautiful windows where the sun comes in the morning. We have this large wall for a large piece of art. This piece of art I commissioned, and it is prickly pear cactus. I don't know if you can see it, but I do. And as we go upstairs, one of my favorite little delights is a new laundry room that EO Design, our architect, created from a balcony. And originally there was just a washer and dryer in the master closet, but we wanted a proper laundry room, and what we have here, this was a glass door that led out to a balcony that goes to a roof deck, which we don't ever use. But now we have a wonderful little laundry room that's very functional. I even have a clothesline out here to hang my clothes. And the best part, a hamper that rolls into my master closet. Got two compartments, and I have dirties and clean, and I push it through and I can grab it on the other side in my master. And so now what we're going to do is have a look at the upstairs area, and I'm going to turn that over to Joe.
So what I'm going to talk about is the master bedroom and also my office. And to a point I made earlier, there can be no wires. It has to look nice. So here is my office. It's got an okay view, you know, that's what people tell me. They say, who wouldn't want to work here? But one of the cool things about, at least for me, cool things, if you look at the desk, it can be a standing desk and there's a mechanical crank, you turn it, and it almost looks, if you're familiar with the genre, steampunk. So I had these pieces made by a company in Houston, again with the steampunk kind of feel, the kind of old-fashioned machinery, and found this on Etsy. It's a lamp. Who knew? To the monitor, when I retired, I actually decided to build, since I used to be an engineer, build a video game. And I can tell you that if you're doing that, you need more than a little 27-inch monitor. So this is the modern version. The original version was 3 32-inch monitors that were black and obtrusive. And Joe kind of didn't like them at all. So this new one is much more modern. And what it allows you to do, and I highly recommend it to anyone that has any serious amount of work to be done, I can have 3 windows open. I can see them all. So when I was developing a video game, this would be the code, this would be the scene, and this would be, for me, all the YouTube videos I had to watch to learn how to do it. So this is where I spend a lot of my time. So, I mean, some might say, well, why did you develop a video game? Well, I've been playing video games since the mid-90s, started with Myst and Riven, a lot of these puzzle games. The games that I like are puzzles. They're not shoot 'em ups. They're not, let's see how many people we can kill. They're all about walking around an environment and discovering things. So what I developed, and it literally took 3 years for me to do it, probably the first year learning how to use a game engine, is a puzzle game, a walk-around puzzle game called Escape World Dilemma. I'm not plugging it because it's free, but it's on Steam if you're interested. It's developed by one guy, so don't expect the refinement you get from Microsoft or Sony or whatever. It's a little janky, but it's a great puzzle game. And I had a lot of fun developing it. So moving on to the master bedroom. This is our master bedroom over here, because sometimes I'm at night working there. We have sliders that close it off. But the most significant thing in this bedroom, this room is kind of the same. This furniture wall piece was there. We've decorated with the books and family pictures. But originally, it was a nice balcony. There was a balcony like this. And it was nice. But, you know, in every place that I've lived, a bedroom balcony I hardly ever use. And our architect looked at it and said, get rid of that. This was the master suite. It's like 12 by 13. So now what we have by blowing this out and just putting windows in is we have a much, much bigger, and it's just much roomier. It feels good. When we go to bed, it's roomy, it's not cramped. And then to Joe's point about art, she gets some walls to put some art up on. And I should also add, if you may miss the subtlety of this, these are not shadows. This is palm frond wallpaper. And it's a nice touch. It isn't, the room isn't all white. It's a nice backdrop, and it ties in so that when we wake up, we can see the palm tree right out the window there. We can see the ocean, or Joe can. My side of the bed can't, but that's good. She gets to see it. And again, it's just a very nice, welcoming place for us to, I mean, I always get up in the morning, run downstairs, make Joe a cup of coffee, bring it back up, and she goes, yes. Moving to the master bath, we're just moving through a closet here. The master bath is very different than what it was. It used to have glass blocks in a circular pattern here, had a tub here. So we basically changed it completely. We wanted to have the two sinks. They had these basin sinks that didn't, at least for us, work. We moved the tub over to here, gave Joe a little station right here. And again, you can see the wall that's everywhere in the house. It's in this area here. And a nice, lovely shower. It's just a nice bathroom. Pretty simple. So moving to the closet, and there's not much to see here, but Joe will want me to show off at least one thing. You know, we have clothes here, yeah, but down here, we have the other side of her hamper. Now she uses this and I don't. I just bring my laundry around, but she has a white side and she has a color side, and this was her invention. It's pretty cool. Moving further on the top floor here, we have one other area, and this is a new area in the house. Our architect came up with the idea that we should have a room, a bonus room, if you will, above the wing that you were in earlier. So he came up with this idea of the catwalk. And again, Joe talked about how these are all randomized. And again, you see the wall even up here. And as you enter this room, you see the wall even inside here. And this used to be an exterior window. We just left it up. But this is kind of like a bonus room. I like to listen to music, so I have speakers and an amplifier. There's a little bit of a story on the amplifier. If you look closely at it, it says Menard Audio. This is the result of a company that never became. I built this amplifier. I designed it because I used to be an electrical engineer. This is one of a kind. And if you're an aficionado or an audiophile, you'll remember this blown away man picture And if you look carefully at these speakers, you will see that these are the exact same speakers. A little bit of trivia. And then we also have a little gym area. We belong to a gym, but this is easy to just run upstairs, do some exercise quick, watch a little bit of a TV show, and you don't even have to get in the car. So that's the gym. This lovely piece of art was done by my daughter in 12th grade. I'm not sure she really wants me to display it, but there you are. You can actually go out. Let me open this up. And the ocean's right here. We haven't put any furniture out here, but it's really a nice add-on to the house. What home means to me is a place that I want to be. It's a place where my friends can come over and be with us and join us in conversation and fun. It's a place where my children can come. My children are at the four corners of the United States, so in the house we have places where they can sleep. There's enough bedrooms with bathrooms and all of that. So this is like a place you want to be. It's friendly, it's comfortable. We joke that when we go on vacation, we only want to be away for so many days because we miss the house.
Ditto.